good evening, Final Fantasy Randomizer fans. Welcome to the first race of the Fall League. This is week 1, and this is the classic week, so we're going to have more standard what you've been seeing in the spring tournament flag sets. My name is Jat. I'm joined here in the booth by Groggy Dog. How are you doing tonight, Groggy Dog?
I'm doing great. I feel real excited to be commentating the first night of this. It is going to be a very fun race. We've got a lot of community members in chat. We should have some fun tonight.
Absolutely. So for those of you who may not be familiar with the Fall League is going to be a tournament of 10 teams of 4. So it's a team tournament battling it out for the title of Fall League champions. Each week we're going to have a different set of flags, and then there's going to be 4 races every single week. So this should be a great event. But starting us off here, Classic Week. So, what exactly is that, and what should we be expecting for their runners this week?
Great question. So we are going back to a little bit of basics here with our flag set. We're going to be going back to loose, with just a handful of incentivized locations. Ice Cave, Ordeals, Marsh, Canaria Locked, all on the table. And we're going to be hunting down things like the floater, the canoe, the crystal, all of that and more. The rest of it is going to be pretty standard in terms of routing and in terms of stat boost. Prices going from 29% to 350%. Enemy and boss stats going from 50 to 180%. And you're going to get plus 5% XP per incentive item that you find. So going to be a nice throwback, and we are off and on our way, it looks like.
Yeah, so please excuse the layout. We're just working on getting the finalized layout sorted here, but luckily you will be able to catch the beginning, and if you miss anything, that's what we're here for. So feel free to add your questions in chat. Right off the bat, we're seeing some pretty nice level 1 magic here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if anyone re-rolled because of that. That is good enough that... Ooh, dirt cheap heals and pures too. The nuke is good enough that you might consider re-rolling. I think we've got a pretty decent spread of party comps. Looks like we've got a nun in the upper right-hand corner. We've got a thief in the lower left. We've got Mario down in the bottom right, along with Yoshi, Peach, and someone else I can't tell. Certainly, whoever is in the upper left, and right now we're not named out yet, maybe Jay Scheidel, that red, black looking promising at the start. Gonna depend certainly on where the white magic comes in, but that's three nice nuke charges to start off.
Mm-hmm. I saw life at level 1 as well, but I didn't see if it was in slot 3 or 4. But regardless of where it is, it wasn't in slot 2, so that red wizard will be able to learn it. So red mage is looking extremely good here.
Yeah, and upper right corner, Bones take out the Party of Light, and that Ice Sword in the upper left chest is going to be a really nice way for that warrior to start out. That gives you a really, really viable weapon very early.
Mm-hmm. So we're seeing, as you said, a couple different variations in parties here. In the bottom left, we do have a thief, and that thief, with such strong magic, may just take a bit of a nap for a while, what we call danning a character or keeping a character down so we can better distribute experience to people who need it. Mm-hmm. Especially with really, really strong magic, even if they have to go to Marsh early, which is definitely a possibility with incentivized Marsh. You're not going to need the thief quite so badly when you have 8-10 casts of nuke.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see we're getting the ship and the Oxyale from the King and from Princess Sarah. Getting the ship pretty standard in this flag set, and I think an early Oxyale also pretty quick to get. We have open progression on, but not extended open progression. What that means is we do have a dock that the ship can park at below on rack. So depending on what we potentially find loose here in the Inner Sea, or what we find with Bicky over in Provoca or at Marsh, we could see our players having to dive sea earlier than they like just because of that early Oxyale. But our lower right-hand corner going to be the first runner on stream to make its way to Provoca and see what Biggie and the Pirates have in store.
Yeah, something of note, for those of you who might not know the exact flag set, we only have a free bridge. And the fact that we only have a free bridge does mean that these runners are going to have to find the canal to get out of the Inner Sea, and it's not guaranteed loose. So there are 2 loose items, as Groggy Dog mentioned earlier, so it might be, floating around in Dwarfs or floating around in a box in Marsh, but it's more likely, just percentage odds to be an incentive item in the Inner Sea still. So you're going to be seeing them checking the standard Bicky, going down to Elfland, checking for a shop item and things like that. But if you don't find anything there, we're talking Marsh, unless we get something like a canoe, and a canoe can really switch things up. So keep your eyes peeled, as this Bicky item is going to be really important for how this early game plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. Some more nice magic there in Provoca. We're seeing you can buy soft and pure on the white mage or red mage if you like, just to kind of make it a little bit easier. That level 2 temper is really solid. Again, getting a lot of these big check marks off. And we're going to receive that canal just like you were talking about. So the whole world is now open to our runners, minus a couple checks that require the canoe. That opens this up a lot, and is going to mean we might see some really early route divergence, depending on how many loose chests people want to check, depending on if people feel like they want to skip Marsh. If Marsh is particularly nasty, we might see people give up and go elsewhere. So it's the next couple minutes are going to be very instructive in terms of how we're proceed.
So if you were in their position, would you say, you know what, I'm going to go do Marsh because I'm here anyways? Or would you say, you know what, I'm going to leave and go, you know, check, like, for example, a free item in Crescent Lake, or try and check skip Elfland, trying to get a few more dollars, you know, maybe going to Matoya or something. So what would your plan be right now?
My plan would be to lie to the person who I will be racing on Thursday night as part of this. You know what? I think I would go first, just like right off the bat. I'm gonna go to Sea Shrine, and I'm just gonna beat my head against the wall until I can kill Kraken. I think that is, I think that's the best strategy.
Yes, I see. Giving good advice to
pro strat, I believe is the phrase.
Yeah. So not only are these 4 runners, on different teams, and once we get the layout set up, we will introduce them all in the teams that we're on, but also our entire comms team and the trackers tonight are all part of the race here. So I'm Jad, as I said, on team The Quackening, alongside my teammate in this race, Foolish Feline. Groggy Dog can introduce himself, but our trackers tonight, the fantastic, my teammate DVS, as well as Static Pulse of the Bractus Club. So, this is just a really fun event for us to all go out, be on teams, talk trash to each other, but then strategize with our teammates and have fun, support them, go out and cheer them on. So I hope, the commentary team, as well as, all the people watching, get to have as much fun with this as we're hoping to.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm representing the Center for Competitive Forfeiting tonight. We're represented by Chad, who is not on stream, but we're cheering him on anyways. I think realistically what we're looking at is what we see in the upper right-hand corner. For me, anyways, just a quick peek into Elf, see what's there, especially if we haven't already found the loose shop item. Seeing a little bit more high damage magic for pretty cheap too, and that lock spell is also very useful, going to lower enemy defense. That or lock 2 going to be just fine. I do like early Marsh plays, given that you have decent magic. Right now, what we're missing from the equation is warp or exit. But provided that you have cheap enough housing, whether it's tent or cabin, because in this case houses are way too expensive this early just to burn on Marsh, that's still a pretty easy way to just kind of do some checks. And with 2 loose, that's a pretty large amount of checks that you can make early on. Also, a spike tile that may pay off for you in terms of grabbing a few levels quickly. I'm a big fan of going and checking the top of Marsh first, just to get it over with, see if there's going to be anything that will help me on the dive bottom Marsh, and then making that bottom play. But we have bottom left, our runner going to Crescent Lake. It looks like they don't have the canoes, so they're going to have to go the long way around that little inlet. But they're going to see what the sages have. Unlike in the vanilla game, you don't have to have killed... Oh gosh, Lich. I almost forgot the progression. You don't have to have killed Lich because of the flag sets that we have enabled.
Yeah, and you know what? Finding these EXPs, as they're literally called on his screen, to get some early experience, really helpful. We do see a few other things. Level 5 warp, which was in slot 3, so I believe that's going to definitely be locked out permanently, which is a little bit unfortunate for the red mages, as this so far has just been an incredibly good red mage seed. The only thing that they're really missing is fast and good healing magic. Other than that, they're getting absolutely everything. So yeah, and there's Fade over there in Crescent Lake. We had someone going to check Melman as well. We've got 2 runners in Marsh. It's always the scary part of finding out which one of these enemies is going to be particularly awful, and the Crescent Lake check does not pay off. That's a tail. Useful item, absolutely, especially since there are 2 loose. We're going to see more runners running fighter teams, because you're going to be looking for lots of weapons. There's a Sun Sword right there in Marsh, upper left, and you're going to be looking for lots of armor as you pull open those chests, and so it's a great way to do that. I'm going to be curious to see what does pay off for these runners, because that tail is going to be great in a little while, but can't do anything with it yet. We are starting to, limit the number of locations that are left to check. Ice Cave ordeals all off the table until we get the canoe. Marsh is available, which we're checking right now, and otherwise there's also the shop item available in the northern city, Sea Shrine City.
Oh, Slab. Onrak, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think Onrak would not be a bad place to go at all. In fact, I good ice armor too. So yeah, Marsh kind of paying off. Like the Slab not going to be helpful right away. You can always just go to Melmond and get that translated and just have that done. But you're getting some good armor and weapons there in Marsh. That's a decent play. But yeah, we're going to have to check. The only other shop that we can get to right now that we haven't already seen is going to be Onrak, like you said. Again, because we have the open progression flag on, there's a dock there. Our ship can get there. Now, the caravan, the traveling caravan merchant, is just to the west of that, but we need our canoe to get there. So like many other things, that's going to...
Yeah, and you know what? Even if you do hit up Onrak and you want some early money, some early gear, Mermaids is available just 2 short floors down, and you can nuke down some of those enemies too to get some early levels. Our scaling is not that high. Nuke's going to do a lot of work, especially with also having Lit 3 at level 3. Sea Shrine, not a bad place to get some early levels, as well as some great early gear.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is where a little bit of patience pays off. Just finding something that'll get you a handful of levels can make your life so much easier. I played a similar seed to these earlier, and off the power cycle there was 4 P's outside Crescent Lake. Like, fantastic. Yeah, let's knock a few of these out to get some levels. Sometimes you just have to be willing to explore a little bit, and like you said, just hop into Onrak or hop into Sea Shrine and take out a few and pop back out and save and then go back in. And it's a little bit tedious, but if it's going to save you deaths, it's going to get you to a better place for the rest of the checks you have to.
Yeah,
Cool.
I mean, so as you can see here, we do see all fighters on the screen here, and that's not really surprising with the amount of boxes that we're going to have to open up with loose seeds, but we'll have to see if anyone does decide to take, a kind of stationary grind, like what you're talking about, where, they take a few levels early, if they do it later, if they're all just going to straight walking grind for the whole time, which is when you just take levels as they come, but you don't run away from, quite as many fights, especially if they have good EXP, or if they're going to do a combination of those. We also do have shuffled B-side spike tiles, so there's always a possibility that there is just, a 3-eye grind tile or something really tasty available early. And if they find something like that, they may sit on that for a few levels as well.
Yeah, I think there's also an interesting play to be made here in going to check out Earth Cave. Obviously, we don't want to go too far into Earth Cave because we can't warp back out, we can't exit back out, we don't have the rod yet, so we're not going to be able to do the whole thing. But on that first floor, you're going to have several different spike tiles to check and a couple of chests. That gives you access potentially to a area to grind, and also, you never know, maybe one of the loose is there, and you save yourself some time by just peeking to that first floor. Especially if you're already going to Melmond just to kind of check out magic. It's not that far away. I think it's a really good check, and I'll be interested, once we kind of narrow down, Blizzard down over on the top right side, I found those gross enemies in Marsh, I think on the spike tile.
Yeah, those giants also have trance.
Ooh, yeah, that's rough. That's rough, because you're not going to have anything really to mitigate this early, unless there was some item that we didn't see that's mitigating it, but I think that's just kind of be something you have to luck through. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if anyone, as they kind of decide, like, yeah, I think Onrak is unfortunately where I have to go, even though I'm super low level, if they decide to make that Earth check.
Yeah, I think those are kind of the 2 most relevant plays at this point. Is you could go for Earth, try and get a few levels before you go to Onrak, and just hope that maybe it's in those top 4 chests, because those are so quick to check, as you mentioned, and maybe get a few levels, or you can just go straight to Onrak. So we'll have to see where our runners go, because they're all kind of in a similar situation. A lot of them have checked Marsh, most of them have checked Crescent Lake. They all know that the canoe's out there, and it's either loose or in the shop in Onrak at this point. So that's kind of what they're looking at. Now, I think the worst case scenario for these runners is that it's left side, because then they have to make that very tricky decision. And something that's kind of unfortunate in this is that a bunch of them will probably take on Kraken, but it's going to be a little bit of a coin flip because of the Brack casts.
Yeah.
I think I would do it, especially with 3 casters, which some of these people have. But even with 2, you got to take risks sometimes, especially in early tournament races with very competitive runners, and double dipping on rack is going to be very expensive. You would be coming back anyways, because with the canoe you want to go to Waterfall, but you're probably getting the canoe there, so that's going to be something that they're going to have to worry about. But if they get the canoe on the right side, for example, of C, which is Mermaids, then they could definitely leave and come back later.
Yeah, now I was going to congratulate our upper left-hand runner on making a savvy play going to check out Matoya's Cave. I can't remember if I saw any of our other runners do that. Unfortunately, Gur-Imps have Frost, and we're doing quite a number there on that party, so they're going to take another stab at it and hope they don't see those Frost Gur-Imps again.
A couple of nasty early game enemies. Trance Blizzard Giants, Frost Imps. But, that's randoing.
Yeah, there you go. We're going to check 3 chests right here. We're going to have an Iron Shield, Silver Armor, and Ice Sword. Nothing we haven't already seen or don't have a better version of thanks to Marsh Cave, so that's going to be a bust. That closes out the Inland Sea for us. We've seen all available chests here in the Inland Sea, which means that we're going to have to go to Sea Shrine and hope that it's either affordable in on-rack or it is an easy-to-get location. Otherwise, we're going to see some awkward grinds. Oh yeah, we did forget about these 2 dwarf checks. That's going to be a lot of money. Now that is actually really great, because if it is a shop item in on-rack, it's probably not going to be particularly cheap. That extra 17,000 gold that our that may be a really big difference maker.
Yeah, so if you want this race to be nice to our runners, hope for a shop item in on-rack. If you want it to be really mean, second floor Earth is your friend right now. Canoe, second floor Earth loose.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the worst case. But someone might gamble there. If they go Earth 1, there is an argument to be made to going Earth 2 as well, if the only alternative is on-rack. I think the odds on play for sure is on-rack right now. Not only is Mermaids just so free and so many chests, there's the most chests in that dungeon overall as well of what is currently available to them, as well as the potential for the shop item. So I think C is the statistic play. But I would not be surprised at all to see some people go to Earth, especially if one of your teammates, if Caleb was running in this race or things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is exactly the kind of play Caleb might consider making, because it's sort of the meta play, right? If you are a runner who knows that, listen, I maybe am in the bottom half of people running tonight on average, and we were all identified that we have to go to honor. We have to go to Sea Shrine potentially next. It may not be a horrible idea to go dive Earth. There's a decent chance you're going to go have to do a bunch of chest checks in Earth anyways later. Not 100% chance, obviously, but it's still, possibility exists. And if you find that loose item there, if you find the floater or the canoe, whatever, and you have that Galaxy Brain play, suddenly, this couple-minute gamble that you've taken that would have lost you not much relatively, puts you way ahead. So... it'll be kind of interesting to see if they decide to commit to that. I still think right now, if I've identified that on-rack is where I'm going next, just to see what I can get, because getting to level 15 would be great. Now, Demon RHK, who is in which corner, if I may ask? That's a wonderful question, and we will happily let you know as soon as we know. Still working on getting the layout fixed for tonight, so thanks for bearing with us on that. But we're gonna, we will happily tout these runners and their teams as soon as we get everything settled.
Yeah, so while we're, quickly talking about, what your strategies might be, I did want to quickly highlight the scoring system. So the scoring system here is Mario Kart scoring, which means that you're basically going to get points, and each team is going to accumulate points throughout the week. So one thing I wanted to note, though, in particular, is that first, second, and third are more incentivized. So it's not like it's 10 points for first, 9 points for second, 8 points. It's 15 for first, 12 for second, 9 for third, and then it goes down 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But what that means is that taking a gamble and potentially coming in the top is very beneficial, as opposed to, if you're gamble and lose and you go from 6th or 4th to 6th, it's not that big of a deal. But if you gamble and win and go from 4th to 1st, you're doubling your points, and that's absolutely huge. So now I'm not telling other teams to gamble. I'm not telling my team to gamble. I'm just saying coming first is very, very important.
Yeah, definitely. And Gregory Puff in chat pointing out some very good reasons not to dive Earth Cave. It is a long, long ways between each chest for the most part. There are a bunch of enemy types in there, and it is more likely that one of them is going to roll nasty, and so you're going to have a hard time with that. And again, you can't just warp out. So yeah, absolutely. That is not the normal play, but again, I think especially when you are metagaming a little bit and playing the field, sometimes you just got to take that and hope. I'm one of the first races I ever had streamed, I made a Galaxy Brain play into Earth, and somehow won that race when I had absolutely no business winning that race, because I by no means should I have won, because I made a horrible decision and was paid off handsomely for it. And we have now, I think our upper left-hand runner just took a very interesting route to are going in between the two, the northern and southern continent, kind of going the long way around. Interesting. I like the knowledge of the map, kind of shooting that channel. And there's a floater for sale for 9,000 in on-rack, so that is not expensive at all. We cannot use it until we have the canoe, so that is a little bit of a Pyrrhic victory. We do not have extended open progression on, which means that we do not have the ship dock south of Crescent Lake. You still have to have the canoe to be able to use the floater.
Yeah, so that does mean that we have a guaranteed loose either canoe or something that leads to the canoe. So it could be the key, for example, because the key would lead us to Canaria Locked. But outside of that...
Sure enough, lower left-hand corner, Earth 1 provides us the adamant. That is one loose down in the floater in the on-rack shop. This could be huge. If we get our lower left-hand runner turning in the adamant, finding the canoe, I'm going to be fascinated. I think there's a really wonderful question here. Do you continue to push your luck and dive deeper into Earth, or do you just cut your losses on floor 1 and then just see what adamant turns into? I definitely would want to leave Earth after I kind of check this first floor and some of the spike tiles, just to make sure that is this something really important?
That's exactly the play I would make. I would check, say, you know what, I got the loose item. I feel great about this. I'm going to quickly check the spike tiles, and then I'm going to get out of here and turn into adamant. You know what, it's trolly if there's something on the second floor, but you got to feel pretty good about making that Earth play, because I think C is the much more obvious play, so I would feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I do worry a little bit if this next item is the canoe. Does that lower left-hand runner then decide that they want to go somewhere else besides on-rack, and they end up missing out on the floater for a while? And they're going to wipe pretty hard and have to go back in for that floater. Hopefully they can walk it out this time.
Yeah, and some other things to note, too, is that mummies have terrible spells, giants on floor 2 have terrible spells, Earth is just kind of a nasty place to be, in general, so I would not want to be spending any more time here than I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the runner in our bottom right side is going to be showing us the right side of C, doing the long checks, and going to be showing us mermaids very soon. I've seen a lot of runners hit mermaids first, actually, and then hit the long checks on the way out, but both are fine, especially if you're in the situation with 2 loose where you're likely to check all the chests anyways. The one benefit of that is that if the key is loose in the bottom right, you don't need to double dip this. So I think it, generally speaking, is going to be slightly faster to go there, do mermaids, than check on the way out.
Magic Terra, I think, giving us some accurate information. Jay Scheidel in bottom left, Sonny Wrath in bottom right, Life Reboot top left, Rob Draven top right. And I do want to shout out their teams. Sonny Wrath coming from the Nuke Imps for the Canarian Empire, Life Reboot coming from Costa del Soldiers, Jay Scheidel with Team Quack Attack, and Rob Draven with the Mares of Melmond. So if your team is being represented on stream tonight, definitely give us a shout out, hang out and chat, or if you're not, feel free to root for a team, one of those tonight, and hop on the bandwagon.
Yeah, definitely pick your favorite team, as long as that favorite team is the Quackening. And then, call it out, cheer for them throughout the tournament, because, this is going to be a great event. So keep coming out every week, 4 races a week. Standard time, so you always know when to see it. And here we go. We are getting our first look at the mermaids. Nothing in the first 3 chests, but still many chests to check.
All right, so now all 3 of our runners outside of Jay Scheidel have the floater, but canoe is indeed at the adamant turn-in. This just busted wide open. Like we said, that Galaxy Brain Earth 1 play coming in big, and tonight I'm really, really interested to see where Jay Scheidel goes, because the whole map is open to them now, with a couple exceptions, and it makes it just that little bit more likely that they're going to go to the wrong place. Now, they know that the shop item has to be in one of just a few places, but 2 of those places aren't accessible to them yet, so they may decide, hey, I'm not gonna go that yet. I'm just gonna go to Volcano and do some loose digging, or go to Ice, even though I don't have Warp, and do some digging. So I'm curious and excited to see what happens to Jay Scheidel lower left. Do have a ribbon there in this mermaid floor, which is also great.
Yeah, I was just going to point out, though, as well, with the Oxale, there actually is an additional draw alongside the 2 shop items to be going to the northern continent. So I would not be surprised at all if Jay Scheidel makes that call to head there. Because basically at this point, this is a very common kind of decision in Final Fantasy Randomizer. You got the canoe, you don't have the floater. You go northern continent or southern continent. And it really depends on the incentive items, your levels, what items you have. But I think with Oxiel, no shop item found, and both Waterfall as well as Ordeals incentivized and available, I think Northern Continent would be calling my name. And it looks like Jay Shadill's made the same decision, deciding to go 2 Ordeals first, which I think is reasonable.
Yeah, it's a bunch of easy chest checks, and you get an incentivized item. The only issue, of course, no warp in play just yet. And so it is going to be a little bit of a slog to get through, especially if one of these enemies has something particularly nasty like a stun or poison or whatever. It might take a while, and sure enough, already guessing wrong right off the bat. You really hope to see that 3... Okay, yeah, there's the 4 pillar room. You want to see it early off the bat, because the later it is, the more likely you are to have to double.
Yeah, the one thing that we've already seen is that mummies have something nasty, so this is a little bit dangerous. You just got to hope to keep dodging it. You do have nuke, though, and turn order, basically, turn order with nuke wins all fights against mummies. So, you know, not the most dangerous thing in the world, but not a ton of levels at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. There shouldn't be anything in Ordeals that is going to survive nuke. And it looks like we are finally live. Okay, welcome everybody.
Also of note is that the runners did just switch their locations on the screen. So, you know, Jay Shadell is up in the top left. So, you know, all that top left, bottom right business we were talking about before, they are now labeled correctly. Everything is good to go here. So thanks for your patience, and we appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah, and thank you again to SpeedGaming and the whole staff over there, especially Kirito, who is helping us out tonight. We really, really appreciate your help.
Yeah. No, we really had to hand it out to our broadcast partners. They are great supporters of the Final Fantasy Randomizer scene. So big shout-outs to them, and we are glad that we can showcase this tonight. First few checks of the Kraken side, Sonny Wrath did decide to go, and once again, that does not surprise me at all. You pretty much have committed to clearing out C when you go here, because you know that if you don't find it here, then you have to go to Earth. And that's a much better place to be than checking right side, leaving, going to Earth, finding nothing, and then knowing it's on Kraken's side. Yeah. So the only decision is whether or not you go kill Kraken, but I think at level 11, with he either has 2 or 3 casters of Brak. He has 2. Oh no, he has 1. Ooh, that's a little bit more questionable, but he might still try it.
Yeah, I think even at these low levels, Kraken is a pretty serious threat to a level 11 party. That is not something I would feel comfortable doing. We did see an Opal Cheerio over there on Jay Shadell's screen, so that's going to be some great caster gear, especially if you're a white or red mage. And we're going to get a random encounter with some mummies. Gonna throw out Trance. Fingers crossed this doesn't end poorly. Okay, good. We're going to see the Rod. So your early Earth dive is rewarded with an encouragement to go back to Earth and check out the lower 2 floors after all.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate, but that does mean that it is a guaranteed double dip of Earth.
Yeah.
So there was a situation where the Rod was loose in C, which was actually would turn out quite badly for Jay Shadell, actually.
Yeah.
So that's actually not a bad thing to see. That really means your gamble did pay off.
Yeah, now it looks like Jay Shadell might actually be going back to Earth now, instead of taking the double the incentive at Waterfall and checking C for loose and or on rack for the item. Although he might just be going to stock up on the item.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It would be a little unusual to go stock up. Okay, it looks like he's heading over to Volcano and Ice Cave then. This is actually a little bit unfortunate, as we do know that that floater is for sale in on-rack. So this is heading a little bit in the wrong direction, but all it's going to cost him is a little bit of sailing time, as he will get that floater eventually. But, you know, every advantage adds up, and this is definitely something that's not going to pay out for him. Now, once again, that does not mean it's an incorrect decision. It just is a little bit unfortunate about where the items are exactly. Meanwhile, in bottom right, Rob Draven having a big trouble down to a single Black Mage. Now, I don't know how many chests he's checked, so if he's checked enough and he knows there's nothing here, it's not that big of a deal. But still a little bit unfortunate, down to just a single character.
Jay Shadell with plenty of money going to pick up some houses. Nuke coming through for that Black Mage. Gonna get some nice XP off those Gersharks too.
Okay, so Sonny Wrath is on the Kraken floor. Now, once again, I'm not that surprised. He basically hasn't found anything. He's gotten a few levels. Walking out is just going to cost him more time. I think he's just going to go throw out a couple bracks and just hope he lives. And if he doesn't, it's not the end of the world. He's coming back anyways, and he knows there's nothing here.
Cheesenator in chat pointing out, Sonny's quite lucky that the HP rolls on these enemies haven't been higher than Nuke. Yeah, I haven't seen too much in the way of particularly devastating enemies in Sea Shrine, so that Nuke is just fine.
Yeah, the early game enemies are the worst. Wiz Mummies, well, not too early, but Wiz Mummies have Trance, Mummies have a AoE damage cells, Gurims, Giants have Trance and Blizzard, so...
Alright, and we're gonna see Sonny take on Kraken, see what he can do with this. Fascinated to see. Alright, so we're gonna get a couple attacks, Fog 2 and Brack. Brack, of course, is a spell that can instantly kill Kraken, but it's a very low % chance at this point. Not gonna work on the first attempt. We're gonna get Hold on the fighter. Going out more Fog 2 and Brack.
Yeah, Brack is the best shot here, about a 26% chance, so
yeah.
Everyone about 1 in 4. So there's definitely a way that this goes through, but there's also very much a way where Kraken gets to have his way with Sonny Wrath here. As I previously mentioned though, if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world, it's definitely a time loss, but he didn't get a key item, so it's either walk out or die out, and you know what, if you're going to die out, you might as well try and get Kraken down on the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, not going to be doing too much in terms of the fighter and the thief, and he is really committed to that Brack strat. Let's see if it goes. Life Reboot, on the other hand, is going with straight damage output to great effect, has just totally powered through Kraken with some nukes. Well done, Life Reboot. Made that look like child's play.
Really interesting, knowing the scaling of the seed, very, very important here. With scaling only 50 up to 180, and Kraken having 800 base HP, you're looking at 1200 health max. That means that, at worst, if your 3 nuke casters survive, you're looking at, 3-4 turns of nukes. That's definitely doable, and that's a much more guaranteed way, and that's if he rolls max HP, and that was not a max HP Kraken. So, playing the odds, saying, you know what, I don't want to just keep casting a bunch of bracks. I'm going to make sure I get out of here alive, or make sure I get out of here in a little bit more of a set time period, and it really pays off. Now, if it's 100 to 300% stats, that's not the strategy you want to go to, but that really is Life Reboot, just knowing what the scaling is, so good on him.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's cool seeing Sonny Wrath go back in. I think he knows that he was on the bad side of that 26%, but a decent chance to brack the Kraken on a second attempt, and we'll see Life Reboot now. I think go back and finally check out Earth and get rewarded with that canoe pretty quickly. Seeing some Cerebi there for Jay Scheidel over in Ice Cave, getting some brand new information the rest of our winners haven't seen. Again, a little bit unfortunate. We know that this is not going to pan out with the floater, but that doesn't mean that this isn't going to be important all the same. Of course, again, the other issue we're running into is we don't have warp or exit. We can't kind of mess around with the layout of the map, and so we're going to have to do two full trips through Ice Cave.
I believe Jay Scheidel does have exit. Exit was level 4.
Does he have exit? Oh, totally missed that. Okay, even better then. It's just going to be one trip up and in. It takes a little bit longer than the warp trick, but still saves a lot of time.
Yeah, exit, of course, not available in the vanilla game in Ice Cave, so it wouldn't be able to be used. So all you players who played this, 20 years ago or 30 years ago, having to suffer through Ice Cave twice, but luckily Final Fantasy Randomizer has the solution. Get the box, exit out, much quicker.
Yeah, those Frost Wolves with Lightning too, putting some real hurt there on Jay Scheidel. Luckily, he survives it just by the skin of his teeth. Gregory Puff walked away for a second. We've seen a looser canoe. Yes, we're about to see Life Reboot get the loose adamant here in just a minute that Jay Scheidel picked up earlier.
Jay Scheidel picking up a nice pro ring in the top left, being best in slot armor for your arm wear, as well as providing resistance to death magic. That's always a nice thing to find.
And a very nice spike tile here in Ice Cave that Jay Shidell is totally unprepared to deal with. This is actually a little bit scary. This could be a wipe right here if that nuke doesn't get them out fast enough, but they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, and that's not a ton of HP. That's definitely worth a bunch of EXP at this point. Now, unfortunately, you don't want to burn all your nuke charges here, as there's still quite a bit of Ice Cave to get through, and you're not exiting out right away. So I'm not surprised to have you take it again. Yeah, but and there we go. Life Reboot finds the Adamant begrudgingly, but he does have Kraken under his belt. So you know what? Life Reboot not in a bad place at all. At best, Jay Shidell can skip all the chests that he opened and skip right side entirely, which is always, super nice. But Life Reboot coming in here, going to get his canoe shortly, going to go immediately into the air, as well as with an orb under his belt. That's not a bad place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Life Reboot has catapulted into first place as far as I care, unless Jay Shidell turns it around quickly and gets to on-rack. For a minute there, Sonny Wrath was right with Life Reboot, but that Brack strat is not paying it out, and sure enough, it looks like Sonny Wrath has been given up on Kraken.
It's not even just that the Brack strat's not paying off, it's also that he only has a single Black Mage caster. And these were open parties. I was a little bit surprised to see him continue with the Fighter Thief White-Black instead of re-rolling to like a Red Mage or something, especially with level 1 life, because that's guaranteed Knight, as well as Red Mage access to life. Your White Mage at that point is just holding out for Cure 4, and, Curative Magic and maybe Invis 2. That's really good costing Sonny here, and those are little things, and Sonny is an excellent player, but Party Comp makes a big difference, and they could re-roll here. So, turns out Red Mages are pretty good.
Yeah, Jay Shidell disappointed by the bottle that he found in Ice Cave. Bottle, of course, you cannot turn on without the floater. That's going to be a little bit more looking for Jay Shidell. Gregory Puff asking in chat, and Life Reboot has already done C. Yes, so Life Reboot just nuked down Kraken. Really quick fight. It happened at the same time that Sonny was trying to brack down the Kraken. Didn't work, but Life Reboot was able to just power through. Now, fortunately, Sonny making the correct check very quickly, adjusting, and is going to be rewarded with a canoe. As soon as those poison mummies have their way with him first, they're going to do... he's going to reset out of Melman and go, and sure enough, we have at 35:47... Life Reboot is the first on-stream airborne runner. Congratulations. Life Reboot, booking it. Absolutely booking it right now.
Yeah, Sonny knew that the item is an Earth. He's not happy about it. He's especially not happy about it after wiping to Kraken twice. But, this is the play here, so, knows what is up here. Jay Shidell, meanwhile, is in Volcano. Now, Volcano makes a lot of sense when you're searching for your second loose, as it is going to give you a really nice check here at the Armory. Definitely are able to take out Carry at this point. No healing magic, a little bit annoying to go through all those fire tiles, but not the end of the world. But Life Reboot immediately going to promote without a black belt, no reason to hold off. Going to be able to go pick up Warp, which is going to save him even more time when he's checking Ordeals, when he's checking Ice Caves. So, Life Reboot just on a absolute tear here.
Yeah, and we saw Sonny Wrath just pick up the loose Adamant as well, so we are quickly going to have our second runner airborne, assuming that Sonny Wrath also kind of dips out pretty quick. We've got some discussion in chat about White Mages. Listen, you can probably fight a rainbow from my cold dead hands. I'm going to keep them forever, as Life Reboot uses that promoted Red Mage to pick up the life spell.
Yeah, Jay Shidell finding a very nice trap tile in the Volcano. Sandwiches available, and they went down to like a nuke and a half. This looks like Trance may be on the Medusa script here, as Fires, Giants, and one of the mummies, Wiz mummies, all have had opened with Trance, first spell Trance. So that means Trance Blizzard on the Medusa script, just nasty. The Medusa script, of course, there's 3 copies of it, and that's why it's important. So that means that if you find it once, and then you see it on a second enemy, it's likely that they're going to follow that same pattern. So if I was them, I'd be very worried as soon as you see that, because it's very likely they're going to follow up with Blizzard. Now, Blizzard's not going to be an instant one-shot that it was 20 minutes ago anymore, but if you see a large pack, for example, in the Giants, Giants not so much, in the Mummies, for example, then that's going to be a lot nastier.
Yeah, now interestingly, Sonny Wrath doing something we didn't see our other two Earth Runners do, which is he's gone down to the second floor, checking some chests, just gonna find some miscellany down here, maybe something useful, maybe not. It'll be interesting to see if he continues on down to the third floor of Earth and gets the vampire kill and checks that chest as well, or if he's just gonna say, like, I think this is good. Now, he should have exit, I believe, so this will be a little bit easier for him to just kind of pop back out. But as we know, right now, wasting time. Aegis Shield, Dragon Armor, and X-Cowl all on the first floor of Volcano, though. That is great. A lot of runners going to check that, I have to imagine. That is a lot of really lucrative stuff right there, especially in this fighter-heavy meta.
A very, very, very well-off knight died there a while ago, and all of his armor is just strewn all over the armory. So, yeah, that is everything that you could possibly want for a knight. These are going to be very, very strong knights going into the end game. Of course, Power Bonk is incentivized, so it's very likely that they'll be able to get that. And then all that you're missing, really, outside of like knights being able to basically man mode through the entirety of Topher, is just a defense sword.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is looking like a relatively safe late game already.
Now, I'm fearing for Rob Draven. Rob Draven has 2 downed mages there, still working over in Sea Shrine. Meanwhile, Life Reboot going to take that floater and go say hi to our dear friend Sarda.
So this is our first look at what Sarda has in store for us here. And it is the crown. Okay, so the crown's going to continue to fetch quest. Something that's very important for right now is the key. The key will open up an additional incentive item as well as being required to win the game. Outside of that, we have not yet found the chime or the cube, so Sky, which of course is required to beat the game, completely unavailable at the moment.
Alright, and sure enough, there is the key from Astos. So we now have the Canary Lock incentive item, and we have a whole bunch of chests here in the Inner Sea that we can go check. Now, there is also the possibility, our winners have obviously cleared Sea Shrine for the most part. There is one key-locked chest in Sea Shrine. It is extremely unlikely that anything of value is in there at this moment. However...
yeah, the fun chest. Very, very annoying when it has
Oh, is that what it's... Okay.
Yeah.
The fun chest.
Mm-hmm.
That fun chest, yes. We're going to see Life Reboot make quick work of that airship travel. Checking a few chests here in Canaria before we hit the incentive item in this left room, and it's going to be the Power Bunk and Defense Sword. A lot of items grouped right next to each other that you want to see. This is a very friendly seed, and I think, we know now that we're probably going to need, we are going to need all of the loose items, since the Power Bunk is the only non-essential item left at this point, just found at Canaria. But as soon as that second one is found, I'd be surprised if Life Reboot checks too many more chests after that.
I agree, yeah. The tail and the power bonk are the only 2 items that are in the flag set that are not strictly required. I guess technically the floater as well, depending on how everything rolls. But those 2 are the only ones that they wouldn't need, and since they found those both already, that does mean that they will need to find a second loose. So Life Reboot does not know where everything is quite yet, but once he does, those burners are absolutely going to go on, especially if he checks Volcano first, which is, I think, quite likely unless he ends up hitting it, unless the loose item is like in key locks. That being said, there is a pretty good chance he doesn't go to Volcano because it doesn't have incentive location, and he's going to have to check all the other incentive locations first, and at this point it's quite likely actually that he finds it in Waterfall.
Yeah. And Sonny Wrath pulls off a Hail Mary, finds the loose ruby in Earth 3. All of the haters in chat talking about you can't have 2 loose in Earth, well, we've got it in this seed. Sonny Wrath with the Galaxy Brain play to go through and check all 3 floors of Earth before going to get the Adamant Floater. Now, not necessary, but it is information, and that information is just as important as anything else at this point. As Sonny nearly gets cracked down, the White Mage is going to live. Oh my gosh, that's horrifying if Sonny wouldn't be able to walk this out. That would be so much wasted time. And that would feel awful, especially after how bad that Kraken was for Sonny. That does have I think a single life cast left in that White Mage, going to heal up the Knight and hope for the best on the way out.
This is super interesting because the key with Sonny finding that second loose is that I would say 9 times out of 10, Life Reboot, Jay Shadell, probably Rob Draven as well, they're going to be going to every single location first. They are going to full clear sky. They are going to full clear volcano. They are going to full clear ice. They are going to full clear water. Those ones not so bad. That is going to be the last place they check other than TFC and like Marsh key locked.
Mm-hmm.
So that is actually a lot of chest opening that Sonny Wrath has saved himself. Now, the one thing he does need to do is check the armory just to get that late game sword and the late game armor. But outside of that, he's pretty much ready to go, especially because he's going to get that defense for basically free. Because he's going to check key locked, and he's going to open those chests. So Sonny Wrath in a very kind of shockingly nice place, especially after how nasty, dying to Kraken twice is.
Yeah, and I think at this point too, Sonny is the kind of runner who's going to check that Volcano Armory. So while he's going to miss out on the X-Cal, I think he will still end up with the Aegis and the Dragon Armor, so...
He did wipe 2 Death Touch Arachnids, though, so he did have to go down a second time.
Yeah. Luckily, you save a lot of time just going straight, even when it's, 0.7, I think, encounter rate. It's annoying, but it's not the end of the world. He doesn't know this now, but we know that honestly, that information gap that he has is probably going to be worth its weight in those wipes.
Oh my goodness, though. He took a step after exiting out, and it was Arachnids again. And he luckily ran away. That would have been... Oh man, that would have been clippable. Especially on his stream with his commentary. That would have been quite something.
Yeah. Now, Sonny making, I think, what is the right play given the information he currently has, going to check Sarda. He's not going to bother checking those 4 chests below Titan. It's not incentivized. Probably nothing that's going to be worth it at this point. So again, this is not the right play to make, but it makes sense given what Sonny knows at this point. Cheese and Nader saying, going deep in Earth for second loose is too Galaxy Brain for me. Yeah, I feel the same way. I think I can talk a big Galaxy Brain game and commentary, but that would, as soon as I saw that admin, I would have been out of there.
Actually, of note, wait, is the Ruby... Is Titan's Trove isn't incentivized?
No, it's not incentivized. Yeah, like I said, the Ruby is not a required item for the seed. It's the information that Sonny now has that he can choose when he wants to stop checking chests.
But we were wrong, because with the Ruby not being incentivized, that means the other runners are going to clear all the incentive locations and hit go mode. Which means they won't need to open any more chests either.
I think the difference will be how quickly do they find those, because they're going to be clearing chests along the way, and so I think that is still a very significant time, time advantage that Sonny's going to have. Is it the be-all, end-all? No. But I still think it's significant.
Yeah, but if I was the runners, I would just be like beelining Ordeals, Ice, and Waterfall, and then I'd be like, oh, I'm in go mode. So, I agree, like, the information advantage is always huge, but these other runners can hit go mode without that, and that's really the kicker there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot Titan's Trove wasn't incentivized. We've ran a lot of classic seeds with Titan's Trove incentivized, and I even have the list in front of me, but like Titan's Trove is in many ways kind of like the robot, where I just like kind of assume it's incentivized, but definitely read the flags.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we're actually going to see a lot of in this tournament is runners potentially forgetting what is important and what is in certain flags. I know I think it's in the free enterprise flags we have coming up soon, where you don't have early Ordeals, you don't have early Sarda or Sages, so you have to get the Crown, you have to beat the Vampire and Lich to get access to those things. And that is a really easy thing to mess up when you are so used to having those flags turned on. I know in some of my early practices, I was really forgetting to make note of that or do whatever, and I was just totally burning that.
Yep, I think we all did that. It's just that one is so... Yeah, those ones are just nasty. All that, like, routing instinct, I guess, just working against you there. So, yeah, moving a little bit away from Sonny Wrath, Rob Draven does get that canoe, so he will be in the air shortly. So, he had a little bit of a tough time in sea, but getting out of there, got the item he needs, so he's got some ground to make up, but he's got to figure out, what's the best route now? What's my next step? And then how do I get to the end of this game as quickly as possible? Meanwhile, other people prioritizing their airship turn-ins, which also makes a ton of sense.
Good news, speaking of, it looks like Jay Scheidel is just about to hit on rack. We'll see if he goes Waterfall first, which I would, but he is on his way to on rack. He's going to be not too much longer without the floater. Now, we're also going to see from Life Reboot what the TNT turns into. That is a nice grouping of chests down there to check for free.
We seem to have, we have the loot. So that is the second required item for Temple of Fiends Revisited. With both the loot and key secured, they just need to light all 4 orbs. Unfortunately, one of those orbs is behind both the chime and the cube. Both of which are currently missing in action.
Yeah. I think that's fine, though. I know that there's the big sky contingent, but especially in flags like these, it can be really nice to just kind of get those last few levels you need as you do a walking grind through sky, or, potentially even encounter War Mech if you haven't found too many spike tiles that are good for you. What I think I'm going to be interested to see is potentially Life Reboot is going to be a lot more resourced than Jay Scheidel was going into Ice Cave, and that Zombie D and Whizvamp tile could potentially be a really nice place to grab a few levels while you're doing this.
Yeah, so we do have something interesting going on, which is that there's going to be a big incentive, well, not a big incentive turn-in, but there's going to be Herb Crystal coming up shortly, which is a little bit annoying. But for the most part, these runners just get a few incentive items and just start going. So let's talk a little bit about kind of endgame here, quote-unquote go mode. So A, what does go mode entail? And then B, like, in actuality, like, what is the minimum requirements? And then B, what are these runners looking for in order to be able to beat the Temple of Fiends Revisited at this scaling?
Yeah, absolutely. So, go mode is the terminology we use to mean a runner is ready to enter the final dungeon, the Temple of Fiends Revisited, take down the 4 fiends a second time, and then beat Chaos. Ooh, as we find a triple eye tile over there in Waterfall. Hello, 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 third eye grind. What was it talking about? Go mode. The minimum that you need for go mode is loot and key and 4 orbs. That is sort of what we're operating on. There are a number of ways that you can alter what go mode looks like in the randomizer flag. Obviously, it's going to take you way more items to get that, and so a lot of other things are going to be required, because technically you need Oxyale to get into Sea Shrine, you're going to need Chime, and you're going to need Cube to get into Sky, you're going to need the Canoe or Floater to get into Volcano, and you're going to need Rod to get through Earth. But for the Temple of Fiends Revisited, you need the key, and you need the loot, and you need 4 orbs. That's what you're aiming to get to check, am I ready for the final dungeon? Now, are you ready to fight the monsters in the final dungeon? That is a much different question. Right now, at these levels, or at these percentiles, so maxing out at 180 on enemies and bosses, probably going to be looking to be mid-20s. Maybe you can pull off low 20s, especially if you didn't ban anybody, have a party of 4. And we're going to be looking for good weapons. Probably, at worst, you're going to be looking for Ice. At best, you're going to be looking for Mouse Immune, Vorpal, or Defense, or X-Cal. And we're also going to be looking for armor. What kind of armor do we have? Realistically, we can buy gold bracelets from shops, so we know our mages are going to be pretty okay, those along with pro rings. But we want something heavier on our fighter, like dragon armor at the best, or maybe even an ice armor, or God forbid, even steel armor if you can buy it from one of the shops, as Jay Scheidel picks up the floater finally on Honorite. Congrats, Jay Scheidel. Very happy for you. And then last but not least, we want ribbons. Ribbons are going to prevent those really nasty one-hit KOs from death spells, and all sorts of nasty, nasty things. I think there's a lot to say about how many ribbons you need going in, depending on how many characters you have, whatnot. In these flag sets, I'd probably feel comfortable with 1 ribbon on my life caster, and then move it to the whoever your damage dealer is at the end.
Yeah, in this case, your life caster and your damage dealer is going to be the same person, so 1 ribbon is 100% going to be fine, as the knights will be able to learn life.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think with the low-level nuke, you buy yourself a little bit of flexibility in terms of how you approach this. The defense is going to really buff up your knights. A defense sword is going to really buff up your knight's defense. But you can take a lot of the issues out by just kind of being proactive in terms of your nuke. Now, I can't remember what level was Fast at.
Fast was level
6. So you're not going to you'll have some charges of it depending on what level you get your mages to, but you're not going to have a ton, so you may not want to use it on every boss fight. So especially for like Lich 2 and Carry 2, you may just nuke them down and get it over with.
So you did mention a few things there that I just want to highlight in case people aren't super familiar with the game. So the defense sword and the power bonk are 2 things that we've been talking about a little bit. So the power bonk is actually the power gauntlet, and it casts Saber, which is a very important damage buffing salve spell on yourself, and that's going to basically allow you to get through bosses a lot easier and a lot more safely if your mages go down early. The defense sword is a sword that casts ruse, which increases your evasion, and evasion stacking, instead of defense stacking, is usually the way to get through bosses in the late game, especially at higher clams.
Yeah.
Once you cast 6 what we call stacks of evasion, which is 3 ruse casts or 6 casts of invis 2, or invis, that's going to put you at maximum evasion, at which point the chance of you getting hit is very low. So those 2 elements really allow a solo character, in this case most likely the knight, to get through almost anything, because you don't need the casters to get ruse and temper off, or temper off or saber in that case. So yeah, that's just a little bit more of the background, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. We also, of course, I did want to give a shout out, kind of as our runners are running around, retreading each other's steps, getting ready for the late game. I want to give a shout out to our Discord, as well as the Duckling Pond. So our Discord is a very friendly, great place to get started running, whether you want to run, super challenge seeds, if you want to run the vanilla game but sped up a little bit, if you want to run weeklies and, variety packs, we have something for everyone there. So I would highly recommend you come check out the Final Fantasy Randomizer Discord, which Burt Reynolds has just typed in chat. So yeah. Oh yeah, the Ducklings program. That was the other thing I wanted to quickly call out, which is if you're a new runner or if this looks at all interesting to you, I think Final Fantasy Randomizer probably has, and I'm willing to say this, the best new player introduction program of any of the randomizers, or of a lot of even video game communities out there at all, in the Duckling program. And that's what we do for new players. We do have the Duck Derby starting up soon, not super soon, but coming up the 20. I was just talking to Groggy Dog about it, so he can put a couple more links in here, but we'll have a big tournament coming up for new players where they can train up, get some skills, get some help from veteran runners. So I would highly recommend it. If you want to get started, there's no better time than now. So come check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Davison there saying, I'm pretty sure the next Duck Derby is soon after the end of the league. I believe so. I don't know the exact date off the top of my head, though, as well. Yeah, we have both. I see both of our duck bosses in chat tonight, Ailmarkin and Begley Puff. I went through it twice, technically. Flamed out the first time. Yeah, it's a great program. And we're going to see Sonny and Life Reboot both picking up a couple very important items here in the Volcano Armory. One of the things that our runners are going to be looking for during these loose checks, and just kind of in general, is chest concentration. And we know that this floor is one of the absolute best for it. A ton of chests within very quick walking distance. Don't have to go through too much to get it, and you can pretty quickly get out, save if you need to. Meanwhile, Jay Scheidel has found a massive immune over in Cardia Islands surrounding Bahamut, where you get your class change. That is not a game-changing item find at this point, especially since we already have the Excal, and even Sun Sword is going to be passable at this point with a 180% max. But it's a very nice find. You may consider throwing that on like your White Mage or something. Or your Thief if you don't have a Katana.
The thing with the Masa, and yeah, actually I agree that I think at this point with the Exhale especially, throwing it on something like the White Mage is not a bad decision, but those high damage dealing swords, not only do they speed things up, more importantly, they're actually safety items. And I know that's a little bit weird to think damage dealing safety item, but the key is that the fewer turns that fiends get to get through their skill or spell list to get to the very dangerous AoE non-elementals like Nuke or Nuclear, which is really what's going to wipe these parties, the better off you are. The less turns Kraken has to back row your Knight or your White Mage, the better off you are. And the way that you shorten that is by having more damage in these types of flag sets. So when it's 50 to 180, it's oftentimes more about offense than it is about defense. And the Masa speeds that up so much that it can really give you a lot of safety just by killing things faster. Yeah. So still always a nice find to find the best sword in the game, bar none.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's talk a little bit, as again, we're kind of retreading ground here, about the rest of the Fall League tournament. If you are tuning in for the first time and this seems like the kind of thing you want to watch some more of, well, good news. For the next 4 weeks, we are going to have all 10 teams running 4 nights a week, one runner from each team on each night. We've got Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Obviously, you're here, you know that. But we've also got Tuesdays at 10 p.m., Thursdays at 9 p.m., and Saturdays at 1 p.m. After 4 weeks of that, we're going to cut down to the top 4 teams, I believe, yes, going into the playoffs for 2 weeks. After the 5th week, the top 2 will go into the final week to fight it out. We have some really great flags in store. This is Classic Week, so the next 3 races on top of this one will be these 2 loose kind of classic routing flags. But we're also going to have Shard Hunt, where instead of needing to light orbs, you've got to find a certain number of shards scattered throughout the land. We're also going to have the Free Enterprise, our sort of nod to our Final Fantasy IV friends, in which there is a 0 overworld and dungeon encounter rate. You get a free airship to kick off the game, and you've still got to go just as fast as you can. Those seeds frequently clock in around 45 to 50 minutes. And then we're going with a real weird flag set, and I believe the 4th week with Chaos Rush, where you can go to Chaos as soon as the game starts. And so it is about finding out where you can get items, where you can get spike tiles to grind on, and how quickly you're willing to go challenge Chaos. It's an alternate Chaos at that, so it is a very fun surprise for our owners to find out who's waiting for you instead of just the regular old Chaos. Yeah, and there are 3 of those in one. Those flags go real fast. That is going to be a super entertaining week. But I think every one of these is going to be a real blast to watch, because you're getting 10 runners, who really want this or are competing each and every week for their team. This is a great time to be tuning into Final Fantasy Randomizer, because there's a lot of quality content coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as we hit this 1 hour mark and as our runners kind of just keep retreading each other's steps, I'll just give a quick recap of what's going on. So as you mentioned, this is the first race. This race started out with a little bit of a bang, quite literally. We had level 1 nuke, level 1 life, level 2 temper, and level 4 exit. So we just had tons and tons of great magic right off the bat. But unfortunately for these runners, they kind of got through the inner sea, cleared out the Martian Central location, were like, shoot, I do not have a canoe. So 3 of the runners decided to go north to Onrak, which I believe was kind of the odds-on play, and did find a for sale floater in Onrak, but unfortunately no canoe. One runner, the brave Jay Scheidel, decided to go into Earth first and pulled out a loose adamant, which led to the canoe. Now, ultimately, he decided to skip the northern continent for quite a while, so he did not end up getting that floater quite as fast as the other runners, but luckily enough for him, he still got there reasonably fast. Meanwhile, Life Reboot has been on an absolute blaze for the sea, did eventually end up in Earth Cave as it was the only remaining spot, pulled out that loose floater and loose canoe, and kind of has been blazing ahead ever since. Now, Sonny had a little bit of a setback in Kraken, however, he continued even deeper into Earth, the absolute madman, and found the second loose item. So Sonny Wrath, the only player at this moment who has both loose items. Now, unfortunately for him, they're not both required. And that's kind of how we ended up here with Rob Draven had a little bit more trouble in Sea Shrine. He did, man mode out with a solo Black Wizard and, had all sorts of fun there, but just took a couple of rough wipes and is a little bit behind now, but he's now got all the items he needs. So at this point, who knows? We'll have to see who gets into Temple of Fiends Revisited first, because as I often say about this, you never really know who's in the lead for sure until they get all the ways through.
Yeah, and I mean, even at 180, I think there's sort of an interesting risk-reward scenario at play where some of our more veteran runners are really going to try and push what they're capable of doing in terms of levels, items, all of that when they go into Temple of Fiends, because this is a lot lower than they're probably used to playing on a lot of the seeds. Spring Tournament, for instance, was at 230%. So a lot of these runners are used to much higher percentiles for the bosses and enemies. And all it takes is one, back row Kraken shot to knock out your life caster and make your life miserable towards the end of Topher. So even the first person to get to Topher is by no means guaranteed the win. That is sort of our, Game 7 of overtime of the NHL, I say, as my Dallas Stars are hanging on for dear life on their own. I got hockey on the brain. But yeah, we are not too far from the first Temple of Fiends entry for sure.
Yeah, speaking of veteran runners, I do want to point out that I'm pretty sure the reason why Sonny Wrath decided to go into Earth 2 and 3 was because he felt behind. Because after taking 2 wipes to Kraken and not finding the loose, he thought he had to take a gamble, and that gamble kind of paid off. It really depends on how aware of go mode the other runners are. If they know that second loose isn't required, that gamble's not going to pay off quite as much. But if they don't, that could be absolutely huge. So it really depends on when people stop opening chests. So I would really keep your eyes peeled on the left side of the screen to determine when people are like, you know what, I'm done opening chests, because that's going to be a really important moment in this race.
Yeah, and I've got to imagine Life Reboot is almost there, if not already there. Life Reboot, again, it's what we were talking about earlier. I think there's just like a mental block the moment that something like this happens, where the last thing you think you want to do is go back to Earth to check. This is something that I've done before too, where I just want to say, like, listen, it's probably not in Earth. I already got one loose in Earth. Like, that would be very unlikely. So I'm gonna go check Marsh Locked just to see if it's in these 3 chests that I couldn't access earlier without the key when I was down here. And we know the Life Reboot isn't gonna find anything. And based on what we've seen so far, I can't imagine any of these chests are gonna be even like a particularly useful item. Now, luckily, this is gonna be a very quick trip for Life Reboot. I can't imagine this is gonna eat more than about 45 seconds off the clock, maybe a minute, depending on these spike tiles and what kind of encounters we see along the way.
But here's the thing, every single time he goes out of his way to open up chests, that's him giving up time. And that is time that he has a little bit to give, but not that much. So, just how many chests do you open? That is really the name of the game here. And then once again, it's going to be how far do you need to grind? How many levels do you want? How many items do you want? Now, in this case, of course, items not an issue at all, but levels could be something that you should keep an eye out. If you're not super familiar with the game, if they're in the mid to high 20s, they're almost they're like not over leveled, but they're in like fairly safe territory for this. Of course, non-elemental AoE spells can fairly safe is nowhere, but that's going to be a runner like playing it a little bit more safe. A runner who's in the early 20s, 23, 24, that's going to be your pretty standard timing for these flag sets. Maybe not with this good magic, but in general. And then if they're like early, like, barely 20 or late teens, that's them pushing the boundaries. And I think it's absolutely doable with the gear and the magic that they have, but that's, just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Today's Nader asking in chat, why would Life Reboot come here with incentive locations remaining? Great question. Like I said, I think it's just like a panic check, Like, oh man, what if this item that I need is actually in Marsh 2, and someone else checked it and I didn't? I think that's it. I don't think it is a odds-on check, of course, not at all. I think it is just, that, yeah, and I think Life Reboot also has ordeals left, if I recall correctly. I can't remember for sure if Life Reboot already checked that, but certainly gonna discover sooner rather than later that don't have to do too much more looking.
He does have the rod, so that makes me believe that he did do ordeals. I'm pretty sure our trackers are on point here. So once again, our trackers tonight are my teammate DVS as well as Static Pulse of the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Fast Club. So yeah, thanks for them for sticking on their toes. Four runner races are always a little bit tricky, but at least we don't have any crazy entrance floor shuffle stuff going on. So
not till week 5. Sonic Wrath's stocking up on a couple gold bracelets over there for the majors again. Especially these flag sets, those are perfectly fine defensive items for your majors going into Topher.
Yeah, a little bit surprising here. Jay Shadell is taking a static grind, so this is something that we brought up way at the beginning of the season, the different ways to get experience, but with this type of flag set, I generally shy away from any sort of static grind, especially this dedicated of a static grind, where this is like, I'm going to dance some characters off or let them die so that way I can funnel experience. I'm going to go quite high on my life casters, I'm going to take sandworms to 30. I just think it's time you just really can't afford to give up, especially with how good the magic is and how low the scaling is. So, Jay Shadell making a play, and this is going to make it safer, but caution is dangerous in many ways.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's definitely a point to be made for a quick static grind in these flag sets just to give yourself the comfort zone. But yeah, I think if you're gonna Dan anybody, you gotta commit to it at the start and just like roll with that, not kind of Dan people as you go. Because one thing that you risk is, losing the life caster or losing, a mage that you need later on to a nuke if they, if you've let them die and haven't given them appropriate levels.
Yeah, and also just looking at like fighter breakpoints, right? Sorry, by breakpoints what I mean is when they're going to get additional swings of their weapons. So Final Fantasy does not scale like other games where it's just, every level you're adding 5 to your damage or something like that. No, in certain level points with certain weapons and certain characters, you're going to get an additional swing. So your damage goes something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12. 13 or 12, 14, 16, 18, etc. Not exactly like that, but that's the rough idea. And the fighter's breakpoint for the Masa is at 24, and it's very unlikely that you're going to go up to the higher one. So, well, in Jay Shadell's case, I guess it might be, but fairly unusual. So that's why that 24 level, which I was mentioning, is kind of the standard safe level, and I would not have expected anyone to go much past that.
And speaking of static grinds, Life Reboot, of course, here doing that third eye grind on the 3 eye tile. Not a bad idea. Kind of getting those insurance levels. Yeah, looking like those mid to low 20s. I think this is just... We will not see Life Reboot take any fight that he's going to have to after this. This is a great place to just get those last few levels. Those do not have much health. The nukes are taking them out quick. This is going to be juicy, and then Life Reboot is going to be just fine to take on Tiamat after this and Earth after that. Now, I'm trying to piece together, it looks like the check that Life Reboot hasn't done is the fairy. Life Reboot does have the bottle, but has not yet gone to the fairy. The fairy is going to give the herb, which is going to give the crystal, which is going to give the cube, and that is all that Life Reboot needs item-wise to be in go mode outside of the 2 orbs.
Sonirath, though, this is his last check, and he will be in go mode. Oh wait, does he not have the key? That's a little bit unusual to me, but maybe he just hasn't turned the crown yet. But this plus the crown turn-in, well, making Sonirath be in go mode, and at this point, Jay Shadell is already in go mode. So, you know, we're seeing this top right runner as well as the 2 on the left, all of them are just going to be hitting go mode within minutes of each other. Now, Sonirath is not as high level as Jay Shadell in Life Reboot, but I don't think he's going to be. Like, he's just going to go. He's just not going to say, you know what, I need those levels, and he's just going to try it, and he's probably right. So every single moment these runners take from now on is just a moment that they're not getting closer to Topher, and that's very, very dangerous.
Yeah, definitely.
Meanwhile, Rob Draven, still just cleaning up, just kind of retreading the path. Once again, had a little bit of a rougher early game, and that really set him back, but he's going to keep going, get there, and just keep in mind that every single place that you finish is worth points. You know, going from 10th to 9th, that's 1 point. Going from 9th to 8th, that's 1 point. And if you forfeit, you get nothing. So every single runner got to keep going. And you know what? Rob Draven, he's going to be there and be like, you know what? If anyone stumbles, if anything happens, he's going to capitalize on that. And that's what he's going to keep going for. So once again, this is a team game. It's not for individuals.
Yeah, absolutely. Sonirath taking his time on the 3rd eye grind as well. A very popular spot. Definitely the cleanest one we've seen. He didn't have to use too many resources getting there like he might have had to do with the Zombie D Whizvamp tile and Ice. And you know that you're going to exit right afterwards. You can just get rid of all the spells that you've got. And then kind of call that a clean end to your grind.
Yeah. So he just hit 21. I would expect him to take maybe 22, 23, and then go. Hoping to get the rest of those levels before he hits Chaos, as he still does have Sky in his future, and if there's a few unrunnables in there, that's going to make his fight rate get up to 24. Yeah, so let's see if he leaves here or takes it one more time. Okay, looks like he wants it one or 2 more times, so maybe 1 more level. And here we go, Life Reboot about to turn in the crystal, and there we go, and with that, Life Reboot is officially also in go mode.
And I can't... It'll be interesting to see if Life Reboot does check any chests in Earth and finds out where the ruby is. I can't imagine at this point that Life Reboot is particularly concerned about getting anything that's left. He's in really good shape.
Yeah, I did want to highlight that Life Reboot is the only runner who killed Kraken on that first go-around. And if we go way, way back and say, you know, what do you have to do to win? And I was quickly mentioning, you know, do you take a risk on Kraken or not? It seems like all our runners more or less did. Maybe Jay Shadell was never there. But, you know, Sonirath and Life Reboot did, and Life Reboot, using the nuke strat with 3 nuke casting mages, paid off, and that is a pretty big edge at this point, because not only is Sea Shrine itself, it's not the longest dungeon in the world, especially when you just need to go left side, but you also have to go there, you have to fly there and all that, and Sonirath doing a good job of double like, you know, getting Waterfall and Kraken done at the same time, but that's a pretty substantial edge. Still, everything that Life Reboot's doing here, he's going to be basically a dungeon ahead of Sonny Wrath.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, again, like, it's easy to look at hindsight and say, yeah, maybe that wasn't the right play, but, like, Sonny Wrath made a great play that I think a lot of people would have made, and it was a really gutsy one to go for that Brack strat, not just once, but twice. I think the odds were that should have worked, and it was just not Sonny Wrath's day, which is really frustrating as a runner. But, again, you know, like, Life Reboot chose the path that worked, but, Sonny Wrath could be in this exact same position, too, you know, like, it could look very different, if just one of those bracks come through.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. You know, Final Fantasy Randomizer has a lot of mitigating factors, but there's also absolutely luck. So sometimes you got to play with that.
Yeah, just like the double incentive in Earth. Like, sometimes it's just not where it should be, and you hate the game, and it's super frustrating. But like, yeah, them's the dice. We did see earlier down in the bottom right on Rob Draven's screen, finally saw Vorpal over in Volcano, so we pretty much have all the end game swords accounted for at this point between all of them.
Yeah, and I did want to just quickly point out that this is actually a multi-person race. There's 10 players, not just these 4 going on, so there is lots of other things going on, and we will keep you updated as those racers finish so that their teammates can cheer them on as well.
Alright, and we've got Jay Scheidel pulling Lich, and here probably in just about 30 seconds to a minute we'll have Life Reboot pulling Lich as well. Gonna make quick work of that bottom floor. Blink and you miss it, Lich 2 is down. Now Jay Scheidel is a little low on levels. It looks like that ninja is about 18. I'm gonna be curious, given that static grind with the knight, where everyone else is at, because I haven't really paid attention to, you know, the White Mage was up for a little while. Clearly has plenty of money to go around for the rest of this. Rob Draven is going to pull Kraken, or sorry, not Kraken, Carry here shortly, while Life Reboot gets ready to pull Lich 2. Sorry, Lich 1. Wow, I'm so ready for Topher.
I think we're all ready for Topher at this point. Topher, always a very interesting place to be.
Yeah. 1 hour 15 minutes is by no means a lengthy seed, but sometimes these classic seeds can just feel brutal in the way that you just are looking and looking, and it doesn't pay off, and it doesn't pay off, and then it pays off, and then suddenly you've gone from this sort of like lethargy to like go, and it's definitely, it can be exhausting mentally.
And Sonny Wrath going for the Brack strats again. They have deserted him, but that high-level knight has not. And Sonny Wrath takes down his arch-nemesis, Kraken, at the 1 hour and 15-minute mark. Meanwhile, we have simultaneous orb lighting, as Rob Draven has lit his first orb as well at the 1 hour and 15-minute mark.
And Life Reboot going into his final dungeon before Topher, gonna go check out Tiamat in the Sky Palace, and we might see a guest appearance from our dear friend War.
Yeah, so Life Reboot, our first runner in the Sky Palace on screen here, or Mirage Tower for now, but soon to be the Sky Palace. And he is checking absolutely nothing, no surprise there, going to be flying through. Now, of course, you know, Team Sky, or people who think that Sky is the greatest place ever love this one, because there's tons of high-level enemies, you can get some great levels, lots of chests to check, but right now, the runners don't need any of that. They don't need EXP, they don't need items, they don't need loose items, they're just gonna fly through, and luckily Sky's not the worst dungeon for that either.
Alright, we're gonna get a peek at a couple more spike tiles, some Catmen there for Sonny Wrath. Nothing doing, gonna hop right by. As, yeah, Sonny and Life Reboot just gonna be neck and neck through this. Again, obviously, Life Reboot 1 dungeon ahead of Sonny, but that is not a hugely substantial lead, especially in a flag set like this. Given a rough routing in Topher or just a rough boss, that time can very, very easily be made up. So it is just about time. Start getting those bless RNGs out in chat or your robot friend emotes. because we are about to have 2 runners crossing the Bridge of Destiny and looking for a potentially fateful meet with... Ooh, but not for a sentry. He's gonna thunder some damage away on Life Reboot's side. He's plenty defended, but that's still gonna hurt a little bit.
I'm liking Starman Zero's robot in chat. And Slime's very juicy EXP, but, you know, Sonny Wrath making good time as well. Also seeing the metal Slimes. And he wants nothing to do with it.
And I think we can start announcing runners as they finish. Are we good to go with this, Jet?
Yep.
Okay, so in first place in this seed at the time of 1:16:58 is Wappy. Congratulations to Wappy. Well done.
Yeah, Wappy of Team Trash Island Fire Department, made up of Lord Fizzlebeef, Tarnin, Demon Frog, and of course, the runner himself, Wappy. So congratulations. We also have a second place finisher of Ganon's Gone Wild, a kind of come out of nowhere story in the spring tournament, and you know plays extremely well there. And he finished with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 19 seconds. And that is of Team Cheese Fries. So Cheese in there, you can get your claps out in chat for your teammate there, as he has come second and secured the team 12 points.
Yeah, Ganon's Gone Wild was maybe my favorite story of the spring tournament. Yeah, just came out of nowhere and cleaned up shop for most of it. Absolutely a fantastic runner. Alright, and Life Reboot is done. That is the 4th orb lit. Life Reboot is on his way to Topher as Sonny Wrath heads to light his final orb over at the Earth Cave.
We are about to see our first person enter the Temple of Fiends Revisited. Just those final preparations, and here we go, Life Reboot. Our first runner on stream to enter the Temple of Fiends Revisited at the 1 hour, 19 minute mark and 50. Come on. Okay, using up the cabin so that way he has his heal pots in the correct place, and at the 1 hour and 20 minute mark, Life Reboot will be our first runner on stream to enter the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Unless those bats have something to say about it. Okay, there they go. Let them through. Okay, quick work of these first couple floors. Gonna draw some Gasties. Yeah, I can't... It's always one of those, like, oh, I would love to take this Gasty fight and get some XP, but I don't need it. It's waste time. Let's run.
As we know, arachnids have death touch, so hopefully he gets out of here. And spiders have glare. Wow, those are some... Just all the early game enemies were nasty in this seed.
J-Shide also doing some chest checking as well, getting a few decent items like a pro ring, but again, obviously not what he needs at this point. You know, yeah, J-Shide just kind of needs to get going. So, you know, we really haven't been talking as much about him recently, but like he's 1 orb away from going to Topher as well, so he's not far behind.
Yeah, and Sky is definitely a little bit of a faster dungeon than Earth, as we're seeing right now, so yeah, he will most likely be in Temple of Fiends Revisited second. And as we were speaking, we did have our 3rd place finisher finish up as well. Deng Wu of Team Cake and Brack has come 3rd with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 54 seconds. So congratulations to Deng Wu and his teammates, Grigglypuff, Ale, and Thunder. Just a stacked team of veterans there.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like that, Life Reboot already onto Lich 2's floor. Made pretty quick work of those first few levels. It's going to be rewarded with Medusa's with poison. This could be real rough. Again, you're not really in danger of wiping here. It's just the matter of wasting time on all these slow cast from these Medusas and potentially having to waste resources to either res or heal up your Black Mage.
and Gurmadusa's doing the classic thing, casting slow, just telling you what you're doing as you have to wait for their spell cast to go off. Now, Lich 2 not going to be too big of a threat, most likely, unless he turn orders non-elemental AoEs you, base HP of 500, so, can get up a little bit to just under 1,000, but shouldn't be too much of a concern. Speed and power strats most likely going to be used here, and man, those are just some very high-level characters for this scaling, so Life Reboot probably going to fly through here. Cross my fingers.
All right, and I'm trying to figure out now if I missed. Did Jay Scheidel kill Tiamat? It looks like it. I see an air orb lit. I wasn't sure if he accidentally went out and was fighting these T-Rexes because of that or what. Again, a little bit low on the level side. That fighter is 32. That is a powerhouse fighter. Can do a lot of good work in this. But the other members of that party not doing so great. So we'll see how well this pays off for Jay Scheidel. And Life Reboot getting caught on an unrunnable Red Giant and Agama fight here on the fire floor.
Yeah, a little bit more EXP, all the way up to 30 now, but about to pull carry 2, and there we go. No stopping, just straight to it. We're going to see some fades, we're going to see some nukes, we're going to see some swings, and we're going to see a dead carry very shortly here. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah. That was a pretty small swing, but still definitely got the job done.
Yeah, that'll do it. 5 hits for 253. Listen, whatever does it.
Level 30 Night Swinging Amasa. Not the worst place to be.
Alright, Sonic Wrath there and Temple Fiends Revisited, and Jay Scheidel are going to be joining us here momentarily. We have 3 runners in Temple Fiends at once, and Rob Draven not too far behind, as Life Reboot pulls the Black Mage in front, puts the Red Mage in second, and draws Kraken 2. This is always the scary fight. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna beat down that Black Mage in the front spot. That's why you put him there for sure. Newt coming out for 185. Fade off of the Red Wizard coming for 250. Let's see what else he's got. He's going to cast another Fade, absolutely. Fog 2 to buff that defense, and a Fast on the Fighter. But before that Fast comes off, the Black Mage is going to get beat down by Kraken 2 as well. So you're now scared, I think, of Kraken just sort of one-shotting your Red Wizard and making this really obnoxious for you. But no, 248 coming from Kraken, 7 hits onto the Fighter. Fade coming out for 165. One more Fade left over for that Red Mage, or the Red Wizard, as the Fighter only doing about 120 damage there. That's not going to be enough. Fade for 99 is really not what you want to see. So he's going to switch over to Nukes. 228. Kraken 2 still up, just doing chip damage at this point. You'd much rather see Ice 2, and with a 103 hit, Kraken 2 is down. Life Reboot's going to be able to pull up those 2 Black Mages just fine. Going to spend both charges, it looks like, on the Fighter and just going to knock it out.
Oh, interesting. If I understand correctly, I don't think he went back to get life on the Red Wizard?
Interesting.
Because
interesting.
I believe that was Hale was the Red Wizard there, and I didn't see any life at level 1. So yeah, that's a little bit sketchy here going into Tia. So keep your eyes peeled on the bottom left. That is completely out of life casts.
Yeah, that must have been an accident since he went to go buy it on the Fighter. I mean, listen, those mental errors happen all the time. I am the first to own that. You know, sometimes it's just like you get so one-sided, like on here's what I need to do to get stuff, here's what I need to do to win, that you forget something simple like that, and it's just a total killer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, Life Reboot holding his breath here, but Tia so far so good. Really wants to keep those Black Wizards up so he can be as fast as possible against Chaos. As fast as possible. A fast cast as well as Temper and Saber will make a big difference there, and it looks like he will get through with all 4. Now, keep your fingers crossed for no, Iron Galls or anything like that crazy coming up, but a couple more steps and he will be on the Chaos floor with all 4 party members up at pretty close to max HP, it's going to look like. So that's, what you really are looking for when you're going through the Temple of Fiends Revisited. Meanwhile, Sonirath and Jay Scheidel having quite a battle with each other through this dungeon. Who will finish first between the two of them? And will Life Reboot even finish? Right on this run, this is close race. We have 3 runners and Temple of Fiends Revisited. 2 of them are going to be fighting Carry at pretty much the same time. I do like the speed and power strats from Sonirath. Going fast, kill them before they can kill you with these scaling. So he is the first runner through Carry, but Jay Scheidel pulls it right after. Life Reboot, meanwhile, did get an encounter, but got through it no problem. Onto the Chaos Floor. What adjustments will he make, if any? So heals up. Moving the Knight to the 3rd slot, so it has only a 12.5% chance of getting hit, and that's pretty much it. We're off to the races. The Knight already has the ribbon. Fast, going out with, I didn't see the second skill, as well as a Temper on the Knight. So Fog 2 strats coming out, not going with Activate, trying to go up with defense instead. A little bit not as effective, it doesn't make you quite as safe, but will make a difference. Chaos opens with Ink, though, not doing anything too threatening first turn, and that first turn to set up is absolutely huge. I'm not sure if that Knight has a defense, as Invis strat or Roost strats may be a little bit faster to get the evasion up, but he's just going to go start power bonking, tempers fast, so this Knight is going to be swinging very hard very soon.
Yeah, I kind of like that. With the 2 Fog 2 build up and the great armor he's got at this scale, I think sometimes offense is your best offense, just just punch.
Yeah, I agree. Just go. He's switched to nukes already. He's going to be swinging. Only thing that could happen here is just if he's got high evasion, but not high enough. Life Reboot going to be doing good work. Chaos maxing out at 3,600 HP. So, this Chaos not going to be super long for the roll, especially if you get 366 damage nukes. And there we go, 7 hits. And Life Reboot finishes in 4th place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 5 seconds. Congratulations to our first on-stream runner, Life Reboot.
And GG to Chadbert of the Center for Competitive Forfeiting, my team, just 4 seconds after Life Reboot, coming in 5th place. So that is the top 5. Well done. GG's all around.
Yeah, so Life Reboot's team, Costa del Soldiers, Burt Reynolds, Shadow Flames, Luffy DeVito, and Life Reboot himself. And then we have, you can say your team out, Groggy Dog.
Yeah, so the Center for Competitive Forfeiting is myself, Groggy Dog, our team captain, Rafe Hates Caleb, and of course, Chadbert here and Rube00. We are happy to be represented by our dear friend Chad tonight. Well done.
Now, Jay Scheidel caught up over Sonirath through the Kraken fight and is the first person through Tia, but Sonirath not far behind. This is going to come down to execution, and also probably a little bit of luck, but they just got to menu fast, get through it, and get onto Chaos as quickly as possible to try and really lock up that 6th place finish.
Yeah, we'll see if we can't get Life Reboot in here for an interview here in just a minute. Meanwhile, Jay Scheidel going in for the Chaos fight. Let's see how this goes.
You want to take this one, Groggy?
I'd be happy to. So we've got a nuke coming out from that ninja, followed by Invis, going to put some evasion. Fast from the Black Mage, and the fighter is going to go ahead and start defensing up. We are welcomed by Life Reboot. GG, Life Reboot. Welcome to the booth. Congratulations on a really, really solid 4th place finish.
Hello, GG, and thank you.
How do you feel right now? That was sort of a windy seed. You really made the best of it. What was it like going into Waterfall, killing Kraken, and then just being like, what did I miss?
I guess in the end it wasn't that bad. I had a little bit of technical difficulty right before the stream that gave me a little bit of anxiety. Shout out to Burt Reynolds. Big thank you to him for being available to, within 5 minutes of when the stream delay needed to start, was available to sub if I couldn't make it. But yeah, I'm calmed down a little bit now, but I was kind of reeling for a while, which brings me to my question. Was anyone else trying to dig out a loose ruby? Because I practically did.
So interestingly, we saw Sonirath do something very similar to you. Sonirath didn't kill Kraken right away, but did decide to go down to Earth 2 and 3 to go dig out the ruby, which was on Earth 3. Jay Scheidel losing everybody but the fighter's hitting 1,466 damage. 746 is going to terminate it. GG to Jay Scheidel getting that really solid chaos kill. But yeah, I think you were looking for it for a while, but Sonny Wrath was the one to find it first. Just kind of took the extra floors there right after finding the adamant, after taking a very similar path. Jay Scheidel actually did sort of the Galaxy Brain and found the adamant before going to OnRack, but then had so much more open routing options that he went away from OnRack and did a bunch of other checks before finding the floater.
I see.
Yeah, so Jay Scheidel finishing with an... Oh, sorry, I'll just quickly... Yeah, so Jay Scheidel finishing with an official SRL time in 6th place of 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 7 seconds. Congratulations to Team Quack Attack of Grandy, Cinema V, Jay Scheidel, and Demon RHK, and Sonny Wrath not far behind. Sorry, go ahead, Life Reboot.
I was just gonna say, I was really playing to the statistics. It felt like, I had like 4 or 5 key items left, so I felt like I should still be opening boxes. Then at a point where I'd opened a lot, and I was like, okay, I should actually do these turn-ins to see if they are actually the chime in the cube. It actually ended up being that way, but statistically it shouldn't have been. We should have had to dig out the loose statistically, but I felt a little bit silly doing that cheeky Marsh check for the Marsh key locked, but
quick pause to say GG to Sonny Wrath. Well done, coming in 7th place with official SRL time of 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 22 seconds. GG, Sonny Wrath, coming for Newt Gibbs for the Canarian Empire.
Yeah, no, Life Reboot, I'd like just to kind of go on your point more. We were like, you kind of jumped out to a pretty solid on-screen lead. The only one question mark that we had was just that Marsh play, because it was a little bit like, it's a fairly low percentage chance, and there was a possibility. Of course, we knew this as commentators, but there was a possibility that you could just check your incentive locations. Not only that, you could open chests along the way. So what was going through your mind there for that Marsh check? Were you just like, oh, if it's here, I have a huge lead? Did you feel behind?
That was to my buddy Halis, who hopefully is watching the stream. He is a big proponent of always Marsh, so shout out to him. Just kind of giving a little inside joke to him.
That's the best reason to do anything. And we will be joined in the booth shortly by Jay Scheidel and Sonny Wrath.
Caleb says, always Marsh is a super important strat. It is certainly a strat.
Yes, that is, I would say, the correct way to put it. So we are joined here in the booth by our 6th and 7th place runners overall, 2nd and 3rd on stream, Jay Scheidel and Sonny Wrath. GG to both of you.
Hey, yeah. Thank you.
So maybe we'll pass over to Jay Scheidel first. So, how did that kind of early mid-game feel to you? Is there anything that you kind of was going through your mind? Did you know what was going on the whole time? Were you like, okay, I have my plays, or were you kind of scrambling to get something to work out?
Well, I ran a seed this afternoon that just totally messed me up, so I was just going wherever I could. It was, okay, so let's try this, let's try that.
Yes, the pro strats don't run a seed of the same flags right before you start, because your brain starts crossing the streams.
Yeah, my brain collapses on itself if I try and do that, so props to you for being able to keep them straight.
Now, I kind of have an idea of what Sonny might have to say about the early game in this, but I'll pass it over to you, Sonny Wrath, for any initial thoughts on, kind of how the seed went.
So, I should have killed Kraken 20 minutes in. I should have switched to Nuke instead of constantly trying to use Brack, but at that point in time, I was such a low level that there was no guarantee. And then when my Black Mage got meleeed down by Kraken, that just threw everything completely off the rails. So, yeah, I should have killed Kraken 20 minutes in.
Yeah, and that definitely hurt. The only question I had for you, because, you're a very experienced runner, did you have any considerations on rerolling when you saw the level 1 magic?
No.
No? Okay, you were like, this is a fighter white-black seed? Or like, this is fighter white-black flag set?
I was going to stick with fighter, thief, white-black, thief for running mainly. I wasn't even really looking for a katana. Mosmune was what my ultimate goal was, or Excal. So that way I could just throw the Sun Sword over to the thief and then move the defense up to the knight. But that never came about happening. Instead, I just finished out the seed with Sun on the knight, defense on the thief, the white mage with no weapon, and then the black mage with a silver dagger.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because that was the only thing that I was thinking when you were going through that initial one, was not that, bracking was the wrong strats with like the levels that you're at. It was just the difference between you and some of the other runners was just that you only had a single black caster. And that was like, you absolutely could have bracked down that Kraken, and you got quite unlucky with the number of bracks that you casted to not get it. Or you could have switched over to Nuke, in which case, once again, you could get unlucky and punched out, but that was really the only thing that could have mitigated any of that, and that was just kind of the only question that I had. And I did want to note here that Rob Draven has entered Temple of Fiends Revisited around 1 hour and 36 minutes here. So our 4th runner on stream, keep on going. Once again, we still do not have an 8th place runner, so they are currently fighting for precious points. So Rob Draven's got to stay focused, got to keep going. Groggy, do you have any questions for any of our 3 runners here?
I think, what was the enemy that scared you most? We saw a handful of pretty nasty ones across the early game, but was there any one that jumped out to you guys?
I stayed away from Earth once I saw the mummies. I think they had damage poison or something.
They had some type of AoE kill everything at level 6 spell, yes.
Yeah, I'll say mummies.
The arachnids, actually.
Yeah, arachnids had Death Touch, spiders had Glare, I believe.
Yes,
so
spiders had
those
Glare.
were a particularly nasty pack, yes, absolutely.
How did your heart jump a little bit, Sonny, when you took a step and hit that arachnid pack after Earth, after exiting out of Earth for the 2nd time?
My heart sank. It didn't jump, but it definitely sank, because if I hadn't made it out of that pack and gotten Death Touch down, I would have been so mad. I probably would have forfeit.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm glad that didn't happen, because every single point counts here, and like, if you come 10th, it's a point. And forfeiting is 0, so we're glad you toughed it out. That was a rough Kraken early game for you, and like we were commenting on it right away, like, Sonny's a good veteran runner here, but that was just tough for you. We were also debating.
I don't ask this to rub salt in the wound, but do you have an idea of how many bracks you sent out that didn't go through? It must have been 10?
6, actually.
Oh, it was only 6.
I kept count. I actually kept count on that one. I'm glad you asked.
Yeah, it felt like an awful lot, and it was just so painful to watch. Because, like, again, it was not the wrong play by any means. Like there are a number of. If we had sent 5 runners in to do that, 3 or 4 of them would have been fine doing it. It's just like it's the way the cookie crumbles. That's tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's about a 25% chance to land Brack on Kraken 1, and even Tia 1 for that matter.
Yeah.
But, with 5 people, 1, maybe 2 of them, if you play the odds, are actually going to make it out of that. But because of how RNG itself works, and it's very frame-based in this game, it actually could end up being that 4 out of 5 of us make it through with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just did the quick math, and it's 16% chance that you miss 6 bracks in a row. So,
yeah.
There you go.
Certainly not impossible, but not fun to hear either.
Improbable. It does not best my record of 16 missed bracks in a row.
Oof. Yikes.
Yeah, I think I saw Gregory Puff do something similar in the co-op tournament. That was much more interesting watching him with commentary. I kind of was hinting that listening to your commentary stream at that point might have been interesting if not in SpeedGaming, but on your personal stream, because that's where words start coming out very quickly and very angrily.
I mean, I can actually give you exactly what I said, because it was PG.
Oh.
I literally, as soon as that 5th brack missed and I reset, I tilted my head back and I went, "Oh my god, are you serious right now?"
That's correct.
Yep, that's about right. Rob Draven, meanwhile, speaking of Kraken, is on Kraken, and that night taking a nice hit to the face for like just under 100 damage. So looking pretty good. That's a pretty ugly Kraken. That is not cooked well. But otherwise, this is looking pretty okay so far for Rob Draven. So keep your fingers crossed. that is the most classic commentator curse that we've seen in a while. But there we go. Kraken goes down. Rob Draven gonna be able to bring that black wizard back up. Yeah, there we go. Has life, so ready to go take on Tia 2. Maybe passing over. Actually, no. Let's keep focused here on Rob Draven as he's about to, finish up his Topher dive. Hopefully, cross your fingers here.
This is where it gets scary. I think he's a little bit low on resources from what I can see. This makes me nervous.
Yeah.
RN Jesus in chat says, "Hey guys, thanks for streaming this. I played the OG FF1 on NES a lot growing up, and then played the GBA 1 and 2 remake a ton. I joined the Discord to learn the ropes and how to tackle this rando. Hey, welcome to the community, RN Jesus. We are so happy to have you. Glad you're enjoying this. You are in for a great few weeks of randomizer action for the fall league, so welcome."
Yeah, we've actually got a couple things going on right now. We not only have the Fall League going on, but we also have the qualifiers for SpeedGaming Live going on while all of this is going on as well.
Oh no! Okay, so this is potentially... you really gotta hope that the Fade is gonna pull through. There's 2 left, but the nuclear comes out before he can get anything off. That is a really, really tough wipe for our friend Rob Draven. That was just some bad luck. Did that crack go through a ribbon? I assume he has the ribbon on the white mage at this point, but that hurts so much to watch.
Yeah. I'm hoping he switches that ribbon over to the knight. That knight with the life cast ability, probably the better ribbon carrier at this point. But yeah, that's a really tough one. As that knight does have decent levels, so crack's not super high. But yeah, as Sonny was saying, we do have a multitude of events going on right now. But one of the ones that you definitely want to check out is the SG Live Final Fantasy qualifiers going on right now. Race 5 happening tomorrow at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on SpeedGaming 1. So if you want to see more Final Fantasy randomizer action, fairly similar flags to these, but with no loose, definitely would recommend checking that out tomorrow. Alongside other Final Fantasy randomizer action, we have the ongoing Iron Gall Heavy Metal Championships, which are the kind of harder flags. Generally speaking, they're either done in rumbles, which are large groups, or one-on-one, so those will be happening periodically. But as for this tournament, we have races coming up on Tuesday, 10:10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on RPG Limit Break. Race 3, which both Groggy Dog and I will be participating on Thursday, 9:10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Randomania, and Race 4 Saturday at 1:10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on SpeedGaming. The 10, of course, is because it's on a 10-minute delay, so all these races are starting on the hour for the runners. Sonny, is there any other ones that you want to add? Or?
No, I think you hit all the events right on the nose. I mean, the only thing I will add with the Iron Goal stuff is we do have weekly rumbles on Saturdays, and that is for the hardcore Iron Goal variant, which one person creates flags, we have a giant rumble, and whoever wins is the champion of the hardcore division.
Yeah, and the cool thing about that hardcore division is that belt just changes rapidly, so it's always evolving, always different flags. If you want to see kind of the limits of what this randomizer has to offer, and those limits just constantly expand thanks to our fantastic dev team, that's a really interesting thing to check out. And you know what? If you don't want to check it on stream, why don't race it? It's not the greatest introduction, but for a certain type of player, that is what they live for. So definitely come check that out on our Discord as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, there's plenty of room for all sorts of play styles in the randomizer community. I have not yet to set foot in Iron Gall because it scares the bejesus out of me. I really love these classic flags, the loose hunt, the routing. That's fun for me. But I'm terrible at figuring out how to defeat, a 300% clamped boss. But again, there's room for a lot of different play styles here in the randomizer community. So whichever one kind of sounds fun, floats your boat, whatever, you've got options.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, see me during the co-op tournament if you want to see me fail at 300% clamp bosses. So, yeah, definitely, I tend to like the more standard flag sets as well, but there's a little bit of everything for everyone in this community, as Rob Draven making his second dip through this Temple of Fiends Revisited. We still do have 3 places up for grabs, and you know what? 1 point could mean the difference between making playoffs or not, so, you know, gotta keep your fingers crossed. I'm currently keeping my fingers crossed for my teammate Foolish Feline, who I'm hoping will snag that 8th place spot.
Alright, we are steps away from Kraken 2. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you're, I almost said Foolish Feline. If you're Rob Draven, are you making any adjustments?
I think, like you said, you know, it's you hate to have it boil down to this, but like you learned something in that really rough wipe. You learned that Crack is going to come out probably before you kill it. Move the ribbon. Now, it doesn't look like Rob Draven's going to do that, and it's just going to kind of hope for the best. To one extent, I get it because you want to protect the life caster and just kind of like hope that you can knock this out sooner. But yeah, I think fine to keep the knight up front, move the ribbon over, especially if there are and the knight has life casts left. So yeah, I think that is all the reason in the world to move that ribbon back.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like what you said is the key thing. Move the ribbon on the life caster, but in this case, both the knight and the white mage can cast life. So yeah, that's the play. I mean, alternatively, and I did want to point this out. Speaking of clamp flags, another play that if the knight didn't have life that you could go to is move the Masamune over to the white mage, ruse the white mage up, or white wizard up, and then say, you know what, my white wizard is going to be what survives this. It's going to cast Cure 4 on itself. It's going to have life. It's going to have the ribbon. That's an alternative if the knight does not have life. So keeping plays like that in your back pocket, definitely a good idea. And we saw that to great effect for like Spellzap, for example, our spring tournament champion, who did that against Burt Reynolds and I, and that was a play that really paid off for him.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I did get very scared for a second thinking that Rob Draven was going to forget to bring the white mage back up, or forget that he had life cast maybe on the knight, but he's back up and ready to take on Tiamat too, so let's see how this goes for him.
Oh, that is the knight's last life cast, unfortunately. So, all that we were saying about knights having life, no longer applying to quite the same extent, but does move the ribbon over. So this could be the opposite problem, where he ends up with a solo knight. But as we were mentioning earlier in the stream, with both a defense and a power gauntlet, knights can absolutely solo bosses, chaos, Tia, anything really.
Yeah, definitely.
Not the end of the world here, and yet goes for the ruse, so going for more defensive strats. Okay, getting some tempers off, that's definitely helpful. Looks like he's going to be going for Fog 2s. Crack goes off, takes out both of his mages.
Oh,
okay.
No! The Burt Reynolds special, Tiamat and Kraken taking out your white mage at the worst possible time.
This is still doable. Now, the one issue that he's going to run into is that he doesn't have a ton of healing magic on the knight. So the knight has to hope that Chaos doesn't have a ton of HP, get up to max evasion, and then temper and swing away. But, oof, that is just very, very rude to Rob Draven, unfortunately.
Now, we have had an 8th place finisher in the meantime. Would you like to take that one, Jack?
Yes, absolutely. My teammate, Foolish Feline, has finished in 8th place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 49 minutes, and 20 seconds. So GG, Foolish Feline. I don't know if you're in chat, but great job putting our team on the board with those sweet, sweet 3 points.
Well done, well done.
Well done. And here we go. Chaos, Rob Draven, mono a mono, defense, 2 casts go out, 3 casts go out, max evasion. Gotta hope Chaos just keeps swinging, does not keep casting nuclear. Ink not going to do anything. Power bonk goes out. Now, how many power bonks does he go? At least a few, but, you know, 3, 4, that's kind of the question. Without healing magic, you gotta start swinging a little bit earlier. So he's up to 3. I would try a swing here. Let's see. Yep, there's the swing. Massa goes off. I did not see that number, but hopefully it was high enough. Missing. Keep swinging, Chaos. That's what you want to see. 4 hits. That's going to do the trick slowly, but you really need to not get those nukes and nuclears back around. Nuke, that's not what you want to see. Nuclear could be coming at any moment here. Back-to-back nukes for Chaos. And Rob Draven takes a very unfortunate wipe to Chaos for the 2nd time. Oof. That's a rough one.
I mean, listen, props to Rob. This has got to be so frustrating to have to keep doing this. But again, you don't get a point if you don't finish. And, like, that is tough. Coming from the Center for Competitive Forfeiting, I know how good it feels to just quit on a seed when a seed is quit on you. But Rob is, you know, he has taken just a real beating. and some of this. I think that first wipe, it was low chance, but it was not quite as bad as what just happened. So again, good for Rob for just picking this back up. Yeah. That sucks. But again, you get a point for finishing.
Yep. And he's still competing for an extra point for 9th. We still only have 8 finishers. This is not a dead heat. This is not going for a point because I need to finish. This is still competing for an extra point for 9th. So you got to keep the gas pedal down and really try your best to get through this. And just, as Sonny Rath has kind of mentioned, you just got to let out a scream, let out a, oh, why? And then just keep going. Dive back in. You can't let down your teammates here. It's just like co-op. And honestly, that's one of the things I really like. Like team-based sports, team-based games, all those, really, really good to just have that kind of team behind you, pushing you forward, saying, you know what, you got this, you're going to finish this, not only for yourself, but for us. And in a really positive way, because finishing these tough seeds is really, really hard, but it does feel really good when you get it done. And you know that you earned your team that point instead of quitting. So,
yeah, definitely.
Hopefully one more time through here.
Unless your team, again, is the center for competitive forfeiting, in which case, forfeiting is the highest art that you can achieve, so go for it.
Yeah, I think Groggy Dog, 10 minutes into the siege, you should just forfeit on Thursday. I would appreciate that quite a bit.
That is some pro strats that I have not considered yet. Interesting. Forfeiting 10 minutes into the siege.
You can, according to the rules doc, unforfeit within 60 seconds. That could be the big mental game.
I do like that. Interesting idea.
You gotta live up to your team standards.
Yeah.
But here we go. Lich, the speed bump. Hopefully going to be going down quickly. And yeah, not going to be long for this world. Although I will caution that I hope Rob Draven manages his resources very carefully here. He knows that this has been a little bit tricky for him, and resource management through Temple of Fiends Revisited is very important. So keep those life charges on that night. Keep the nuke charges up. Make sure you have Cure 4s available. Wow, Sunflash Rune just saying very mean things about me. Just giving me a huge morale boost and then giving that big crushing forfeit. Ouch. No, if I had to start trash talking, I'd just say that my teammate, that the ducklings. We're coming for everyone here. Sir Linklock, Foolish Feline, DVS, and myself.
Listen, after this, y'all had a fantastic duckling class, so I think that is not at all beyond the pale. There are a lot of really, really talented ducks who are going to be putting the pressure on the tournament.
Yeah, we were doing a practice race, and they beat Sir Link-a-Lot for the first time in like 3 weeks, and that was like, whew. And that's good. You want teammates to be like that. You want to be like, oh man, I finally beat them. But there's definitely some scary teams out there, so we gotta keep practicing, gotta keep on our toes here. Oh, Carrie opens up with a fast here. We haven't seen that in the past, and that's why Knight, one shot. Goodbye, Carrie.
A little bit of annoyance here on the seafloor with this unrunnable Gershock Wizhag. Man, they're just really... what awful turn order, too. There you go. Finally, the nuke comes out from Black Wizard. That's going to take everybody else out.
Yeah, this water floor just not cooperating, just rubbing salt on the wounds. Water floor tends to do that. Just one of the worst floors in the Temple of Fiends Revisited. I absolutely hate it when you're going through Sea Shrine and like lobsters have crack or Bane or nuke, and you just know that when you get down to this floor, they're just gonna come and eat you for breakfast. So yeah, not the greatest, but looks like Rob Draven's going to get through onto Kraken. No major adjustments needed for this fight, but hopefully he gets through so he can keep his life cast on that Knight. It does look like that Knight had 4 life casts, so just must have had a really, really tough time, the initial one.
Yeah, I think it was just perhaps a little bit of like misfiring on some of the planning in terms of just like burning a few spells instead of like, burning 2 to raise both the White Mage and the Black Mage instead of raising the White Mage and having the White Mage raise the Black Mage.
Trying to go fast, but kind of taking the Topher for granted a little bit, being like, this is going to go through, I'm going to just, save that extra menu click, but really bit him there and not doing it this time. This time, Rob Draven has full respect for the red and green octopus.
Yeah, oh
as he should.
Goodness.
Oh, dear.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, Kraken goes down. 1 life cast, 3 life casts left. He's got a level 39. No, stop walking, Rob. Heal your white mage. Oh no.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
I kind of get it, like, you want to raise him once and not have to waste any. I see where he's coming from on that, but that's still very, very scary.
Yeah, as Sonny Wrath, mentioned in chat, or like as we were talking about, 1 step, that can be it sometimes. Just, don't take that step, play it safe. This game doesn't always punish you, but when it does, it punishes you very, very badly, and you don't want that. So, going out with fast, Fog 2 strats, Tiamat not hitting that hard, so, you can definitely prioritize offense here. As that first Fog 2 went off, and that Black Wizard didn't even get 1 shot. So your Knight's definitely in great shape with the Aegis armor and the Dragon armor. Poison goes off, does a little bit of damage, takes out the Black Wizard, but still plenty of life here.
Alright, 5 hits for 143. Not quite what you want to see just yet. Now, thankfully, the Crack passes over their house without too much damage. 10 hits for 920 is what you want to see, though.
Yeah, and that's going to crits are good.
Yeah, quick work at Kraken. Tiamat 2, and that's going to take us on to, there we go, the final floor. Now let's see if Rob Draven's going to make any final adjustments here. Gonna talk once, gonna talk twice, and then we're gonna heal up. Use those last heal potions. Not gonna see him again, might as well.
Mm-hmm. Wow, just calculated. 1 health off.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, using that last... Okay, I like that, though. Using it on the White Wizard, which is always good there. Moves the defense over to the Knight, also definitely recommended.
Mm-hmm.
Power Bonk in the first slot, as it should be. He is good to go. Now, you could argue for moving your Knight to a different slot so he doesn't get punched down, but Kraken didn't... Or, sorry, not Kraken. Chaos didn't punch that hard from what we could see, and he's going to get the defense up. So if he's prioritizing his casters staying alive so that way he can kill Chaos faster so he doesn't get nuke, that's a good play.
Yeah, and I think, too, you know, at a certain point, you know, like, listen, I need my mages to be alive for X number of turns. Mm-hmm. I would rather not put them at risk of getting one-shotted, and then, you know, I'm flux or I'm out of whatever it is, you know, like, I think in this case, it's not a bad idea. Everybody survives the nuclear this time. Fog 2 is going to go up, add some defense to that team as he puts on a bonk, I think. An Invis and a Temper, it looks like. So we're going to get Saber, Temper, and Cure 3. Okay, Cure 3 coming up.
Yeah, I like this prioritization here. He prioritized the lock from the Black Wizard because there's no way for the Knight to get that. And then he's saying, you know what, this Knight only needs 1 defense cast, and then he can get Invis up. So he's doing a really good job here managing his resources. Now, the one problem is that he doesn't seem to have any Cure 4s left, and that's the one resource that was kind of just, you know, he could have managed a little differently on the way up here. But this Knight, once he starts swinging, is going to be doing a ton of damage. So... okay, Black Wizard goes down, but that Black Wizard's done his job. Rob Draven, needs a few more Invis casts on that Knight, 2 more to be exact in order for that Knight to be at max evade, but swinging for over 1,000 damage. This Chaos has 3 turns left in him, or this one plus 2 more at most.
Fight, wait, there you go. Terminated, GG, Rob Draven, a strong 9th place. Well done, congratulations, and we can now also say... now that all on-stream runners have finished, all runners have actually finished. Congratulations as well to Magus in 10th. GG to all of our runners on the first night of our Fall League. We did it. Congratulations, everyone. A tough, frustrating seed at a lot of different points, but you all made it through, so well done. I think we're going to try and get Rob Draven here in the booth here in just a moment now that we've done in the 10-minute delay stream as well. But again, GG's to our runners. We are so excited to be doing this for a minimum of 3 more weeks in addition to this. So if you liked all these runners, come back next Sunday because you'll see them, or come back Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday to see their teammates as well. As we, again, hopefully get Rob Draven in here.
Yeah, while we wait for Rob, why don't we just start up with our final thoughts? It is getting a little bit later here, so we'll pass it over to our first place runner on stream, Life Reboot. Any final thoughts on this seed? Kind of as Rob Draven. Oh, he's just going to be joining us quickly, but why don't you go ahead?
Sure. So thanks very much to the crew for trackers and commentary. You mentioned the other events that are going on in the community right now. I was part of that duckling class that just graduated back in the spring, I think, and it's been a real enjoyable community to be a part of. So if you like what you see, please stop by the Discord. Everyone is truly fantastic about teaching you what you need to know.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. It was a pleasure to do commentary for your race. And yeah, definitely that duckling class was lots of fun, and I think we all really had a good time going through that. So once again, definitely come out for the next one. Passing over to our second place finisher on stream, Jay Scheidel. Any final thoughts?
Oh, just the same as they've all been saying. Thank you guys for all putting it on. Looking forward to the rest of this tournament. It's going to be fun.
Any shout outs to your teammates or trash talk to other teams? Is there anyone you're worried about, or anyone you want to say, you guys are definitely crushing on Tuesday?
I wish I felt good enough in myself to trash talk, but good luck with everyone, honestly. I just want to have fun.
I mean, I've been telling Groggy Dog he's got to really work on making sure that forfeit comes in at just the right time to mentally kill someone. When he realizes that there's a loose item on Earth 3, Rodless, that's when he forfeits, just to get in someone's head. And we are joined by Rob Draven, our fourth place finisher on stream. GG's, congratulations for getting through. Topher gave you a very rough time, and it sounds like it gave my teammate and a few other runners a really tough one as well. But you stuck through, got those 2 points for the team.
Yeah, GG's everybody, man. That Topher, and then just that early Sea Shrine dive. Those were really where it just kind of beat me up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sea Shrine was not kind to you, nor was it kind to Sani. But Sani Wrath got through on the first Topher dive, and you most certainly did not. Not because you, but just because oof.
Oh,
had it
yeah.
In for you.
Yeah, I jumped in right after I finished, mm-hmm. And I have to give a shout out to one of my partners, Rojo, who's out there saying whoever rolled the seed is fired after the double nuke on Chaos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you unfortunately were the only person who saw that, because most people they had their mages up then, so they could just get up a little bit faster, their defenses up, right? And I really like the way that you prioritized it in the third attempt, where you were like, you know what? I'm going to make sure my white mage lives, I'm going to make sure my black mage lives, I'm going to let my fighter take a punch or two and get those spells off. So that was a nice adjustment each time, right? Moving the ribbon for Tia on the second dive so that the fighter doesn't get cracked, etc. So you did a good job of showing how you can adjust to a difficult Topher.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, it was just a matter of doing doing those adjustments and just kind of getting over that hump, especially as I've seen people get in. I'm like, oh, come on. I won't lie, I got pretty salty there a couple times, but I'm just glad I got through it. And you know what? At 2 points, that's great. Mm-hmm. I'll root the rest of my team this week, and we'll see if we can't boost that point total over the rest of the week.
Yeah, the only true failures in these seeds right now for your team is forfeiting. It's mental resiliency. That's what, as long as my teammates are finishing, if they're forfeiting, that's when we got to have a talk. But if they're finishing, they're pushing through, that's really what this is about. Maybe we'll just finish off with you, Rob Draven, with any final thoughts before we end things off with Sani Wrath and then the commentators. So any final thoughts, Rob Draven, outside of what you've already said?
Not really. Just a good game, everybody. Great to see everybody come out. Was glad to see that we had all 10 teams. Mm-hmm. Good luck to everybody for the rest of this, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you very much. And with that, we'll pass it over to Sani Wrath 11. Sani Wrath, third place finisher on stream. GG's. Any final thoughts?
Chaos was a bit of a butt clincher since I only had the night up. I didn't know it was going to be coming up through his spell or ability list until I saw that last Thunder after Ink Nuclear Ink. Mm-hmm. So it was, oh God, please don't nuclear me again. Or if you have nuke, please don't use that on me. Outside of that, though, bad luck aside with the Brax on Kraken 1, The seed itself wasn't too bad. It had a very good flow to it, and after I actually got going and had my footing, things went really smoothly from there. So we'll see if I can do better next week, because we still have another 4 weeks before we actually get to our playoffs, which will be 2 teams going at it for the championship, and it's going to be a blast. So definitely stay tuned for the rest of the league. We're going to have 3 more matches going on, and 1 person from each team will be playing in each game, and it's going to be different people each week unless one needs to be subbed in. So keep your eyes peeled for it.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sonny-Wrath and GG. Oh yeah, one thing I just wanted to point out too is that if that loose ruby had turned into something required, that would have been huge, and that just also didn't turn out. So just, not the best luck today, but that's what we have many weeks for. Yeah, passing it over to Groggy Dog. I guess I'll just quickly give my final thoughts and let Groggy Dog wrap us up here. I don't have much. Thanks a lot for sticking with us. Thanks a lot for SpeedGaming for hosting us. Thanks a lot to our trackers tonight. And yeah, Groggy Dog, why don't you take us home?
All right, thank you to our community. Congratulations to all the tournament organizers as well. You made it to night 1. I see Danny in chat. I know that there are a bunch of others. They put in a lot of work for this event, for this community. Thank you all as well. Thank you to Kirito, who was here earlier, Davis, and Static Pulse tracking for us. Couldn't do all of this without you. It is such a joy to get to be the voice of this occasionally, alongside my co-commentator, Jat. But yeah, we got in chat all the stuff coming up in the very near future, and there's a lot of it. It is a great time to be part of the Randomizer community. So hop on into the Discord, come say hi. We'll see you here on Tuesday night. See you around, everybody.